Welcome, gamers, to Basement Arcade Pause Menu, the show where we hit pause, sit back, and just chill. I am Ben Magnet, your host, and I am joined by my bro, Ryan Eliopoulos, and you know what time it is. It's time to talk about quarter four of 2023. It's the quarterly episode, an episode where me and my bros from the Fake Nerd podcast, or now bro from the Fake Nerd podcast, because the other gentleman who normally joins us, he is taking care of a newborn baby girl who is the cutest little thing in the world.
Yeah, Sparks Sweaty is not with us because he's playing the game of life. By that I mean he is raising a child, so it's a little more important.
Not the board game.
Not the board game.
Well, he reached the part of the board game where it said you had a baby.
Yes, and then he's like, "What's a video game?" And I'm like, "I get it."
Yeah,
life hacks.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But that doesn't mean we have some awesome stuff to talk about that happened from October to December of 2023. And it's, of course, as we're planning to do this, a bunch of other stuff in the few opening weeks of January decided to open the floodgates of just a bunch of controversies. So we have to just put a giant pin in that to talk about in the next quarterly. But
oh yeah.
Still, a lot of stuff happened in the end of the year, and also some video games were played, obviously.
Yep.
And for once in this entire and in this quarterly, I actually have different video games to talk about than Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Listen,
it's over. It's done. I don't have to talk about it anymore.
No, Ben, but you are playing another 100-hour long RPG that's also coming a little late. But you know what? That's okay, because when games are this long, like you can't beat them in a weekend. Like, it's crazy.
Not only that, I was playing an RPG. I actually beat it last weekend.
You beat a game that I haven't beaten, which is fantastic.
Exactly.
That makes me so thrilled.
Yeah. But we will definitely we'll be talking about the games that we played. We're talking about the games that are coming out in the first quarter. At the time of this recording, it's the end of January. Mm-hmm. But first and foremost, if I remember correctly, because Sparks is the one because the quarterly was Sparks' idea. Mm-hmm. And every time we do a quarterly episode, I always go, the format goes new stuff, video games that we played, and then other stuff. But then he comes up and says, actually, we're going to do this first. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so we got some news. Obviously, 3 months is a long time to talk about, so like we're not going to hit everything. Hey, there's plenty of websites and other videos if you want more detailed analysis of 3 month stuff. But here's some stuff that we've gathered that we want to talk about.
Also, I would, if you want to go back and go more in depth into certain news things, a friend of the podcast, Gamers Week podcast, is a great place to go. In my personal opinion, I love those guys.
Check them out.
And also, 2 of them have been on have been on Pause Menu as well. But yeah, Ryan, what's your first news story? Or do you have, how many news stories do we want to talk about? Because I have 3 right off the bat.
I have 3, but technically 2, because 2 I just want to talk about 2 big game trailers. That are big news before I get to my actual quote-unquote news story. Ben, there's this small indie franchise. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's called Grand Theft Auto.
That tiny little franchise that constantly needs a Kickstarter to start their new game. I've heard about it. I might have dabbled in
it's on
earlier entries.
It's on Indiegogo every couple years. Yeah. You guys very briefly talked about it on the Fake Nerd podcast, but this is the gaming show, so I want to talk about it more in depth here. The trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 came out, and it is without a doubt like the most hyped game of all time at this point. Ben, I want you to take a guess. We watch trailers all the time, and trailers get millions of views when they're hyped up. It's been 1 month since the GTA 6 trailer came out. How many views do you think the trailer has on the Rockstar account? Just take a guess. And I'm not trying to get you, because it's
no.
It's an impossible number.
I remember when Psy's Gangnam Style broke the record as most viewed video in the world.
Oh yeah, it's not like a billion. Don't get crazy.
No. Yeah. It's not a billion, but I would say 15 million views.
Times that by 10.
Oh!
170 million.
I was thinking it was probably in the 100 millions. I was thinking 15 million. I was like, I'm pretty sure 15 million was the first week it was watched.
Yeah, you get a new, one of the Marvel movies, this Marvel trailer got 5 million views in its first day. And I'm like, Grand Theft Auto has 170 million views with that. Grand Theft Auto is a franchise that everyone likes. If you're it's like a Call of Duty. Gamers know it. They recognize the quality of it, because they don't come out every couple years. They come out at this point 10 years, because GTA 5 came out in 2013, 11 years ago. Jesus Christ. That game is still being supported online. You can you could live an entire life in GTA Online at this point. The amount of things you can do, I check in every once in a while, but it's like it's not like my favorite type of live service game. It's like, you know, being a drug dealer, businessman, stockbroker, club owner. Like I'll do that in a single player game. I don't need to do that online. But Ben, you watched this trailer a while ago. Like we didn't have to rewatch it or anything, but like I was so impressed that I'm like, every time I think like, man, Rockstar can't do it again, I'm like, this almost looks real. This looks incredible. All the Florida Man stuff is, first of all, real. Like every clip in that trailer is something that happened in real life.
Yeah.
And the fact that makes me excited is because, like, again, I didn't love GTA Online. Not that it's bad. It's like it wasn't for me. They are going to be doing so much more now that they're 10 years removed from GTA 5 Online. And they've actually hired modders from the community who helped make that game better years after. So, like, they're going to put so much effort into GTA 6 Online that I'm super excited. But more than anything, I think it just looks like a really cool crime drama like they was doing. I'm just curious what you have to say about it.
GTA, my relationship with Grand Theft Auto, the series as a whole, has been, I wouldn't say a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Because the only GTA game that I actually sat down and put real hours in and actually played and enjoyed was Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah. It's a good game. That's a real good game.
It is 100% a fantastic game. And I'm not trying to knock any of the GTA games.
Yeah, yeah.
Because for me, it's mostly that my brother was the bigger GTA fan. Because we were introduced to GTA 3 at our friend's house. We come home and he gets Vice City, and then he begs my dad for San Andreas.
Oh yeah.
And even though we already had Vice City, my dad heard about some of the stuff that people can do in San Andreas, and he was very like, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
even though Vice City was
the hot coffee controversy where you're doing some naughty business.
That came after.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing when the game released on PC, and I remember my dad very specifically asking us if we could do that on the PS2, and we said no, that's on the PC port. We can't do that. We can't. There's no such thing. No way for us to access that.
Yeah.
On the even looking back on that controversy now, that actually another shout out to Gamers Week. They talked about that in a recent episode, the hot coffee mod. And even looking back on that whole controversy, it's just like, yes, you could do the apps, but all the clothes are still on.
Yeah. Which is funny because as someone who just played Baldur's Gate 3, and you are doing multiple hot, naked-ass sex scenes, I'm just like, wow, we've come so far in video games. It's crazy.
Like, I remember, like, when I first got GTA 5, and I actually, because there's, like, strip clubs in all the Grand Theft Autos. You go in there, it's just, like, girls in bikinis. This one, you actually see boobas. You see boobs. You see boobas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. This is like the first. But other than that, my relationship with GTA is just mostly watching my younger brother go around just causing mayhem.
Oh yeah.
Just putting in all the cheat codes he possibly can, trying to get his wanted level, and not doing any missions. Every once in a while, would do a story thing, but he was just going around playing in the sandbox, which is a valid way to play.
Absolutely.
But when I was a kid, I wanted to be like, what's the story? What's going on? Why are we Tommy, or why are we CJ? Why is Smoke yelling at us to follow the damn train, CJ?
Oh,
what's going on?
Here we go again.
Oh, shit. Here we go again. Exactly. So when I finally played GTA 5, I realized the story of Grand Theft Auto and how, yes, the game is a giant sandbox of doing whatever the F you want. But the writers in the game are amazing. They are fantastic writers, and the story of like three people, like one was two of them were former partners in a bank heist that gone awry. One went to witness protection, ran out his friends. The other is just trying to make a name for himself and rise up from getting out of essentially the ghettos of Los Santos into a better life for himself.
Yep.
And then you got one who's just absolutely batshit insane.
Trevor, what a character.
What a character, but also he is there even though his friend somewhat portrayed him in was it
Michael?
Johnny?
Michael,
thank you. Yeah. Oh no, not because it's Michael, Franklin, and Trevor.
Yep.
And even though Michael betrayed him, and when he finds out, it's like, dude, this is what's going on. I need to protect my family. It's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll protect. Like the scene where Trevor goes off on the America's Got Talent ripoff guys for trying to like make Michael's daughter dance in a way that he didn't approve of.
Yeah.
Like, look, this dude is effing insane. But he will do anything to protect his niece, and I have to respect that.
Yeah, that thing I love about Grand Theft Auto is, first of all, every single game is a different spin on. Oh
yeah,
no!
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm still here. Hold on.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Sorry, my cat almost ruined my life just a second. The thing I love about
Oh no.
Grand Theft Auto is that every game takes place in a different era, and it's always a spin on American satire and like how awful Americans can be. And what I love about it is it's made by Europeans, so like it's not like they're biased. Like, oh, we got to make America look good. Like, no, they know what they're doing, and a lot of Americans eat that shit up, and as do I.
I mean, when I was playing Grand Theft Auto GTA 5, and I'm doing a mission, after I do a big story mission, it goes Weasel News. I'm like, that's Fox News.
Oh yeah.
They are like even the tag like confirming, like the whole game is satire.
Yeah.
And it always makes me laugh about how obviously, look, we know what you could do in the game. We know what's available to you. You could be a totally hardened criminal. You can go out and just go on a murder rampage. You can be in bed with a lady of the night, kill her, take your money back. You know, all this horrible crime stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what American media latches onto. Is like, oh, look at this corrupting the children. But then when you actually look at the script of the game and what it's talking about, it's like, this is making fun and pointing out horrible things in the United States. This game, while amazing game with great story, this is also a big commentary on like the Weasel News confirming your prejudices. I will never forget that when it finally clicked. It was like, holy shit, they're making fun of Fox News.
Yeah.
It's just one of those like, oh my god, GTA is political.
Yeah.
Oh god damn.
Yeah. And the older I get, the more I appreciate it, because like I never played the very early top down ones. So like there were good games, just like they're pretty rudimentary for the time because they were limited. But like once Vice City is really where things started to pop off. Like a giant open world. What I love about the Grand Theft Auto series is every character is so unique and fun, and obviously like kind of poking fun at America, but like also like you said, Ben, like a lot of criminals, like they do what they do for family, right? And like no matter how crazy Trevor can be, like he still loves the people in his life, despite sometimes maybe wanted to kill them. But like what I'm so excited about the GTA 6 is that like you're playing like lovers, like you're playing a boyfriend girlfriend couple, and how the life of the criminal life will bring them in different ways, and like maybe you can affect that, like how much you want to be involved or not. But like the controversies around Grand Theft Auto are always so funny, because like again, Weasel News, Fox News is like, oh, this is corrupting America, you can just do whatever you want. And like, you notice every time you do something bad, cops come after you. It's not like you're getting away with it. Like it's not like it's just like a free murder simulator, like like as much Call of Duty is, let's be honest. So I'm just so excited because it's taken 10 years to get this new GTA, and where video game systems are now, 2 generations later, the game's gonna look beautiful. It's gonna play great. It's gonna be as funny as ever, because if I think being it take place in Florida, going back to Vice City, or Vice City, right? It's gonna be
Vice City.
It's because it's like Miami. It's just gonna be so much fun. And again, like that type of online game is not my favorite, but I think they're gonna be able to do so much new stuff by bringing the community in, like especially like role playing elements. It's just gonna be so much fun, and that game is gonna sell so many copies. Oh, I got another fun statistic for you. Ben, do you know what the highest selling video game of all time is? It's not GTA, but do you know what it is?
I thought it was GTA 5.
So it's Minecraft. Minecraft has sold.
Oh yeah.
So,
okay, that makes sense.
But Minecraft is for literally for everyone, whereas GTA is like a mature series. Right. Minecraft sold 300 million copies. GTA 5 has sold 190 million copies over 10 years. That is unfathomable. Like when games are trying to make 1 million sales, 2 million sales, like big PlayStation games like Spider-Man and God of War sell like 10-15 million, right? So like 190 million is bananas, and the fact that more people are playing games now than ever, that game's gonna sell so hard, and it's gonna be supported for like another 10 years, and I'm very excited for it. I love that franchise. I think it's so wickedly smart.
I will probably pick up GTA 6 eventually.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
No, it's not definitely not going anywhere, and I'm not trying to. I mean, I do kind of poke fun at Rockstar here and there, because GTA, don't get me wrong, GTA 5, amazing game. It truly is. That's like the first GTA game I played from beginning to end, and I truly had an amazing time with it. I would recommend people for a good sandbox game.
Oh yeah.
But once again, it's like GTA 5 has spanned 3 console generations, which I find hilarious.
It's because people keep buying it and supporting it. So it's not on them, it's on us for continuing supporting it. Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Oh, how dare you? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like Rockstar. How dare you? It's like, hey, look, if you got something that if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's
And
Skyrim.
also,
It's the Skyrim
yeah,
thing.
exactly,
Like, wait,
exactly,
they're putting
100%.
Skyrim out again? Like, yo, because we keep buying it.
Yeah, true.
It's
Very
me.
true.
I keep buying it.
Yeah. But the point I was going with uh, is just Grand Theft Auto. When these guys put their minds to it, when Rockstar works and they give us a fantastic product, and also people for a long time have been wanting to go back to Vice City because
Hmm.
even though they weren't like the main style games, San Andreas and Vice City are beloved PlayStation 2 games.
Oh yeah.
And even though like the main titles, it's like Liberty City because Liberty City is based off New York, Los Santos is Los Angeles, Vice City is Vice City, Miami, obviously. But I am so excited. Like the second it said 6, and then we got the Everglades, we got all this other stuff, and it's like we're going back to Florida.
Hell yeah.
We're going to Vice City. I'm excited because I loved Vice City. Not really because of the gameplay or the story, but because the soundtrack that was taking place in the 80s was one of the coolest goddamn things ever.
That's
and
another
I was
thing,
trying
yeah.
to look up the playlist for Vice City V-Rock because that's where I was introduced to Quiet Riot, David Lee Roth's solo career with Yankee Rose, and just a bunch of glorious 80s music.
Absolutely.
Like, that's where I first heard Depeche Mode's Personal Jesus. And for 20 plus years, I thought the lyric was reach out and touch me, not reach out and touch faith.
Ah, yeah. That's another thing about
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto is like they introduce a new generation to like absolutely incredible music because licensing music is really expensive, not just in movies but
Yeah.
in video games. So like Rockstar's got the money. So like yeah, every Rockstar game, except Red Dead Redemption, because I don't think they're trying to license music from like 1890. Those games are great too, by the way. They're cowboy games. They're not music games, really. Where you're not on a horse listening to your radio. So like I'm excited.
That didn't exist back in the early 1900s.
Yeah, I definitely like for our generation. One of the most famous trailers is "Flock of Seagulls." I ran so far away with Vice City. Like that is memorable. And then with San Andreas. Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses.
Absolutely.
That's how I was introduced to Guns N' Roses. Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
That's how.
San Andreas.
I became a GNR fan because of fucking Vice City, or because of San Andreas.
Oh yeah, I definitely Vice City and San Andreas introduced me to a lot of music at probably too young of age, but it's not that bad. It's not a big deal. I turned out fine, right? I just swear every other word. So I'm excited to see what new music is going to be in this game. There's going to be obviously some great bangers. Introduce the younger generation to some music they might not know. And going to Florida, dealing with crocodiles, crazy people, ladies with guns in the street. I'm super excited about that.
I am truly excited. I know the game's gonna sell bangers, and I probably will pick it up and start playing it eventually.
Yeah.
I feel like Grand Theft Auto, you have to be in the right mindset for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when GTA 5 came out, my brother was kind enough to buy me the game because he was stationed in Korea at the time when he was in the military. And we were just talking, and he asked me if I got GTA 5 yet. I was like, nah, dude, I don't have it yet because, money problems and other stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I gotta fix that. And he bought me and sent me the game. And my college dorm roommates were just so excited because one day I went with one of my roommates to Best Buy, and they had all the displays up, but they were gonna toss a bunch of the cardboard displays away.
Yeah.
And one of the displays was just this giant, this cardboard cube with parts of the cover as art on the cube. And I'm looking at, and we're checking out, and I look over, and it's like, hey, are you just getting rid of those standees and that stuff? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna toss them away later tonight. I was like, can I take one? And they're just like, sure.
I've always wanted to ask for a standee or like a movie poster. I know it's going away, and I never have. I didn't think like they could give them away, but I guess that's true.
Dude, it was like the best conversation piece when people would come into our dorm room. They would see the Grand Theft Auto cube, and they're like, "Where'd you get that?" And I just joke, "It's like I stole it from Best Buy."
GTA Cube City. All right, so
and then they asked me, "It's like, oh, do you have the game?" I'm like, "No, not yet."
God, yeah.
I had the standee before I had the game.
You're right. You do have to be in the right mindset because I play so many open world games, and like open world games are about traversing a big world, but also fast travel. None of the GTA games or Red Dead Redemption have fast travel. Like it's called Grand Theft Auto. Like you drive to your location, you talk to the people in the car, you listen to the radio. Like it is more a vibe. Like no, you have to like set aside a couple hours to invest yourself in a world instead of like, oh, I'm gonna play for 10 minutes because like you won't get anything done unless you just want to kill random people and go to jail. One other game, Ben, I want to talk about, and it is a recent trailer. And we're going back to the 40s. Do you know why we're going back to the 40s, Ben?
Why are we going back to the 40s?
Because Indiana Jones and the Great Circle has been announced.
Da 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 da. I'm actually excited for this game.
So I'm a huge fan of the studio making this, Machine Games. Nobody makes better Nazi killing simulators. Oh, am I good? Okay, sorry, my Discord just went crazy for a second.
Okay.
Sorry, audio issues. I think my cat still messed my something up. Anyway, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming out. Machine Games, they've made the past 2 or 3 Wolfenstein games over the last decade, and those games are phenomenal. Not only are they incredibly great old school type like almost Doom-esque shooters, they're really fast. You know, when you have to pick up ammo and health, it's on the floor, so you have to press X a lot. Like really old school type of games. But what I love about them is there's so much heart and character and like story in those games, and like it is about it's an alternate history where like the Nazis win. So it's like you dealing with Nazis in America, and it is so heartfelt and profound and beautiful. And your main character, CJ Blazkowicz, is so cool. He's just a really great character. So like when it was announced a couple years ago that Machine Games was going to make Indiana Jones, I was like, oh, can I get a hell yeah in the chat? It was exciting, and we finally got a trailer, and boy howdy, this looks so incredible, dude. And the thing that I'm most excited about, and there are some people online who are naysayers. They're like, oh, I wish it was third person. And I'm like, y'all, we have Uncharted. Y'all, we have Tomb Raider. It would just be those games again. And I do not want Machine Games, a first-person studio, to make a game that they're not equipped to. Not that they couldn't make it, but like they excel at first-person. And the thing about third-person is like that is you looking at a character. First person, you are the character. I want to be Indiana Jones. So when I see that trailer, he's whipping dudes and he's punching them to the music. I'm like, oh my god, holy shit, they did it. The amount of puzzles that are just like there, like you don't have to deal with all the like the main story puzzles. They'll just be puzzles in the world that you can solve, and you'll get a trinket or you'll get extra experience or something. But you can avoid that if you want to and just do the core story. I'm like, you guys just made the perfect Indiana Jones game. I'm so excited. I know you're also a fan of the franchise. I want to hear what you have to say about. Also, do you like the Great Circle name? People hate it. I think it's fine. It's not the greatest, but like it works for me.
It's Indiana Jones. It's just, to me, it's just another thing. And even in the trailer, it says if you connect all these major things, you get a giant circle. They're all perfectly aligned. It's like, it's called the Great Circle. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Stop complaining.
Yeah. Some of the other games.
I don't know. I have no problem. Like when I first heard the title of Indiana Jones at the Great Circle, I didn't like after seeing the trailer and seeing why it's called that. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. It's like any other in like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. What are they crusading for? For the Holy Grail, the final crusade. That's or Raiders of the Lost Ark, Ark of the Covenant. It all makes it's just to me it's just regular Indiana Jones naming. Like even recently, Dial of Destiny that came out last year.
It's a thing and a thing. Yeah.
Yes, it's Indiana Jones and the Thing and the MacGuffin. I get it.
Yeah, if you look at the other games, like there's like text adventure games and like click and point at. Yeah. I played one of them earlier. It's The Fate of Atlantis. That's pretty basic. Yeah. That's a basic title, right? Yeah. So like I understand it's not like the most flashy title, but like the Great Circle, it's a circle around the world, makes sense to me. But how are you feeling about this gameplay?
I'm all for it.
Hell yeah.
I completely forgot that they were making an Indiana Jones game. So the second that the trailer and everything released online, like I'm scrolling through TikTok and all of a sudden I see a trailer for an Indiana Jones game. I'm like, what?
Yep.
And it's like first person, Troy Baker doing an amazing Harrison Ford impression.
Real quick on Troy Baker, like that dude is in literally every video game ever made. So the fact that it wasn't announced it was him, we just heard the trailer and I'm like, who is this? Whoever they got sounds like Harrison Ford. I'm like, holy shit, it's also Troy Baker. Like, that dude's so talented. That dude is so talented.
100%. And just this game looks like an Indiana Jones movie. But it's an Indiana Jones movie that I'm a part of. I could advance the story myself. And I am so excited to not only play the game, but also see how they do the puzzles, how they put you in the world of Indiana Jones going on this little globe-trotting adventure, trying to figure out all the secrets and history of these ancient sites and how they're all connected, if they are connected. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things where I really hope and pray that they nail it, that they just get this right. Because I feel with Indiana, ever since like King of the Crystal Skull, any other Indiana Jones thing that gets released is just put under the biggest effing microscope. And it's like, can't we just have fun and go on an adventure, guys? Can't we just enjoy the adventure?
Yeah.
But you get I don't want to say you get a bunch of naysayers or a bunch of people with their noses raised up. It's like, it's not like this. It's like, no, of course it's not like this, because that came out X amount of years ago. Chill out.
It's true. I just want it to be good. Like, I don't care if it's old school. Like, I didn't love Dial of Destiny, but that felt like an Indiana Jones movie. Like the spirit is there, and like the spirit is here hardcore, and the fact that it's taking place between a couple movies, between Raiders and Last Crusade, excuse me. I think that's great. I'm so pumped. Yeah. I'm so pumped.
More Nazi punching. I can always use Nazi punching. I enjoy punching Nazis.
100%. Ben, I got really bad news for you though. It's an Xbox exclusive. No. It's an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Well, here's the thing. I feel like Xbox kind of needed a decent exclusive.
It's true. No, it's true.
Because I remember, going off a quick little tangent, I remember earlier in the year, I want to say maybe around like the July or August, somewhere around there, a lot of internet discourse, or not discourse, but there was like some people just talking about, where are the games for Xbox now? I'm not saying that Xbox doesn't have games. They do. Game Pass is a great way to play games.
I use it every day. Use it every day.
There you go. But when we talk about the games that were coming out later that year, it was like games for the PlayStation, games that were either exclusive for PlayStation, games that were Nintendo exclusive, games that were, multi-generation or multi-platform. But there wasn't the biggest Xbox title that was coming out was Starfield. But then it's like, yay, Starfield, but then everything else was like, but look at what PlayStation and Nintendo were offering. Yeah. And then look at what Xbox is offering, and it's like, there's not a lot of stuff there. So,
in January...
And this isn't me... And also, just quick little side note. This isn't me trying to be an anti-Xbox fanboy, because I want all video games to succeed. And now that this is a PlayStation... excuse me, an Xbox exclusive, Indiana Jones specifically... I feel I want Xbox players to have something of their own.
Absolutely.
I do truly want Xbox fans to have something, then they're not going back, because I feel like Xbox fans have just been constantly burned over and over again that their first party titles haven't been delivering.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
Whereas we look over at PlayStation, Nintendo, Santa Monica Studios, God of War Ragnarok, and then they released, here's DLC Valhalla for free.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And then we got Tears of the Kingdom and the amazing Super Mario Wonder.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Spider-Man 2.
I'm sorry. Spider-Man 2, exactly, yeah.
So January, 1 year ago, actually, is when Hi-Fi Rush came out. Stealth dropped. But that's the best game that Xbox put out that year. It came out in January. Because Redfall was an Xbox exclusive, and that game... one of my favorite studios, Arcane, that game was awful because that was a live service like multiplayer game that like they've never made before. So like that game bombed and it was bad. Then Starfield came out and Starfield sold extremely well. That game is not critically loved by everyone. That is loved by like 7 people who I think cannot see the flaws that game truly has. We talked about this several times. Like I wanted to love that game so much, and it was supremely disappointing to me. So yes, they have Indiana Jones. Thankfully, Halo Infinite took years to get where it's at, but Halo Infinite right now is an incredible game. They've updated it so much. There is so much variety to that game. Plus the Master Chief Collection, so you can play literally all the different types of Halo all at once whenever you want. It's like Halo's in a good spot. I just wish it didn't take that long to get here. But yeah, Indiana Jones is coming out in like later this year. It could even get pushed to 2025, but I don't think so. The thing about Xbox, they just had a developers like direct, like a small, Sony, what do they call it, the PlayStation Directs or whatever. State of Play. Like Xbox had their own. State of Play. And all those games look great. Like there was the Secrets of Mana, which is like the new Mana game that's coming out. That's like a 3D version of those games.
Secrets of Mana, that's a new game in the Mana series. That was, I want to say it was announced on a Nintendo Direct, because that's multi-platform.
Yeah. But like on Xbox, it's gonna look hella nice. Like no offense to the Switch, but like that's
no.
That's an old ass system at this point.
Part of me was probably gonna pick up the game once Secrets of Mana comes out, because it's coming out PS5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. I'm probably gonna pick up the PS5 version.
Yeah. They had Avowed, which is like a new a fantasy RPG, which I'm into. It's from Obsidian, the guys who made Outer Worlds, and Knights of the Old Republic 2, and the best Fallout game, New Vegas. So like I have faith in that studio. So like Xbox has stuff coming out. It's taken a long time to get there, and like. There's apparently like a Gears of War game that's been in development for like 5 years and we haven't heard anything about it. So like Xbox is not in the greatest spot, but like we'll talk about a game that I'm playing later, but like they had a little game called Pal World, which is exclusive to Xbox, come out. That game has sold. You know, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about Power World when we get to it. But like that game is
Okay.
taking the world by storm in a way that's unbelievable. Like unbelievable.
That was no Power World was an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, it's Xbox and
I thought it
PC.
was. Oh, I thought it was multi-platform. Okay,
Nope,
cool.
it's not on PlayStation 5. I'm playing it on the Xbox Game Pass. Love it.
There we go.
But yeah, those are just two games I want to talk about: Indiana Jones and Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm super excited for both. GTA's 6. Thank you. That game's 10 years old. GTA 6 comes out next year. Indiana Jones comes out in like 9 months. So like we got a while to go. But I have one other news story, but I want to throw it to you for one of your news stories.
One of my news stories is unfortunately something that's a little. It involves a lot of things.
Okay.
And it's also a big bummer because it involves a person who I've been looking. I've actually met in person. I wanted this person to be a guest on my show.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah, you know where this is going. Part of me still does because, but at the same time, it's part YouTube drama, part like what's going on, and it does involve things. So the headline I do want to talk about is, and the game I am going to talk about later on is, one of my favorite RPGs to come out last year. Sea of Stars has removed Gerard the Completionist cameo in the game following Gerard's charity scandal, which was brought to light by another YouTuber, Carl Jobst. Now, if you guys don't know, Carl Jobst is a YouTuber who is famous for essentially he does speedruns, but he also exposes cheaters in speedruns. I became a fan of Carl's because of his essentially deep dive and looking into WADA and how essentially WADAs are how like the big WADA grading game scandal, how WADA inflates prices, and it's like it takes mass print games such as Super Mario 64 and cooks the prices to make it seem like this game is truly rare and valuable, and it's like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, scam.
Scam. And also, of course, even recently, he would talk about Billy Mitchell and another world record holder for Atari Dragster. This whole thing, like, he goes into it and he brings evidence, he has his sources, and he has a whole bunch of stuff.
Real quick, I want to add real quick. It was a dual investigation with another YouTuber called Some Ordinary Gamers, Mudahar on YouTube. But it was like they both did you listen to their Discord conversation by any chance?
I did listen to this.
Okay, just curious.
I didn't listen to the Discord conversation. I did watch Carl's video where he added audio from that.
Okay, then you saw the most important stuff.
Yes. So all in all, Gerard was not in control of the the good news is, as far as I'm aware, he did not pocket the money.
No.
Which is that was the big thing. People thought the charity Open Hands, which he does Indie Game or Indie Land for, where he raises money for dementia
for a
research.
decade. He's been doing this basically.
For a decade, he's been doing this. The main accusation was you're pocketing the money because a lot of money was just sitting in the charity's account.
Not just a lot of money, over $600,000.
Yeah,
has been sitting in an account. Again, he didn't touch it, but it was never donated. Like he's been saying every single year. That's the big thing.
Yeah. And apparently, and going back to, because the main story I want to talk about is Sea of Stars, because when I started playing Sea of Stars, there's an area in the game where a bunch of people a town gets destroyed in a game, and while some people want to stay in the town and rebuild it, others want to move and settle somewhere else. Now, Gerard is a friend, or at least he was a friend. He was very close to Sabotage because he talked about a game that Sabotage made a few years ago called The Messenger. It was one of his favorite games. He absolutely loved it. And when they announced Sea of Stars, he backed them on Kickstarter. He did all the stuff, and he didn't. And he realized, he's like, oh shoot, I didn't follow through with some of the things I promised with the developers. But because he donated so much money for the Kickstarter. And since he is a big YouTuber and is a champion for Sabotage, the developers, they put him in the game called Gerard the Constructionist.
Yep.
And he was essentially a major NPC in the game where we go give building plans to, and he would build this town. That's one of the completion processes, or the things you need to do to complete Sea of Stars 100%.
Complete it.
Yeah. Well, because of this charity scandal, Sabotage decided to remove him out of the game.
Now it's Bob, right? Isn't it just Bob? Bob,
It's just
the
Bob.
builder.
It's just yeah, it is just Bob. And at first I couldn't believe it because when I went back to because I had been playing the game Sea of Stars, and when I went back, it's like yeah, because for major characters they have like essentially sprite work for him, and it's like seeing Gerard construction is because I've been a fan of this YouTuber for a very long time. I am like, oh my god, this is really cool. But then of course once the scandal broke, it's just been like damaging, and even I haven't watched his response, because personally I really hate watching response videos like that.
I watched it. I've kept up with this whole thing.
Yeah, like I heard his response video was not well taken care, was not well done. But I mean, thankfully Gerard himself hasn't done anything wrong, but at the same time, it's still damning and it's still a blemish on his reputation.
Yeah,
and it sucks.
Yes. I'm not gonna say that he is like completely ruined, but like it's gonna take a while for anyone to trust him again. And you are technically right, Ben. He didn't do anything wrong technically, but every single year, and again, like you watch any of these like deep dive videos onto the history of Open Hand and indie charity Indie Land. Thank you. Every time he talks about it, he's like, hey, every year we donate this money, you know, we don't use any of the money, which also is untrue because he used some of the charity money to help fund the streams and stuff, which also is technically illegal. But it's not enough money to be really anyone to like really care about it. Because, you know, running charity organizations can be also expensive to run. You know, it's not free to do these kind of things. But every year he's like, hey, we are donating all this money to this fund, this fund, this fund. And he never did any of that. And that's the thing is, like, he didn't spend any of the money, but he never gave it away. $600,000 is a lot of money, dude.
Yeah.
And
or
like,
at least the people who were in charge of the money never truly gave it away.
Yeah, but he knew this.
Exactly.
He knew this. And like, he didn't technically is a big word here, but like he did really shady shit unknowingly. He didn't do anything on purpose. His reasoning was, and this is completely false, by the way, but like it wasn't never enough money to give to a foundation for it to actually matter. And the whole point of charity is $1 helps out. It doesn't matter how big it is. And like, the thing that's really damning is like, if he were truly innocent, then he wouldn't be getting any backlash. But not only has he gotten backlash, basically all of his friends have like, he has a podcast. I don't know if you listen to it. It's called Friends Per Second. It's a collaboration between like 4 to 5 different YouTubers. He's no longer on that show because of this controversy. Yeah, it's serious. And like the way he handled it, his response video was he was laying out a lot of the things, and like he did make it like known, like, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. Here's all the information. But he was also very angry and negative in it, and he was like, you're coming after me, I'm gonna sue you guys. And like, they didn't do anything wrong. They were investigating something you did wrong. Yeah. So like, he took it very personally, and like, I get it, you know, you don't want to be yelled at or like, you know, but he has to be held accountable for. And like, he immediately, and the thing is, like, the next day after this got out, he donated the money. He could have done that years ago at this point. So like, it is an unfortunate thing, but like, he didn't do anything intentionally wrong, but boy howdy, this is one of like the worst ways to handle a situation on YouTube. And like, he's just now uploading videos like nothing happened, which is fine. He has a job to do, but like, man, that dude's reputation is kind of sunk.
Seeing stuff like this kind of reminds me of you. I'm pretty sure you remember years ago the Pro Jared scandal.
Oh yeah.
I mean, now granted, I would argue that the Pro Jared scandal was a lot worse. It had more implications to it.
Yeah.
But then, of course, for weeks, even I myself was on the train of damning Pro Jared for like, because, you know, when that was accusations of, you know, of wanting to be with someone under the age of 18 or grooming or anything like that, those are horrible. Those are like, you don't want to be associated with that.
Absolutely.
And then when he finally comes up and says no, and he shows the receipts, and he shows that essentially this all blew up and he was made to be the villain, damage was done. And it sucks because even in his own response video, is like, look, here's the proof. Here's like, I assume because I was watching that some of the like the deep dives and the drama going out from that from start to finish.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Yes, I was part of this. There are things here's the things I did wrong involving his now ex-wife, but all the underage stuff, not true.
Yeah.
Here's me specifically requesting that they are, of age, of legal, of adult age, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But by then, damage was done.
Yeah, and that's
And
yeah.
even though that he was, like, he didn't do anything 100% illegal. He acknowledged that the fact that he may have not been the best husband to his wife.
Yeah.
I never resubscribed to his channel.
Yeah.
And even though it's like good, he's not he doesn't deserve to go to prison or anything. It's still one of those things that it hurts. And he was a YouTuber that I really wanted to be on Fake Nerds. I really wanted to talk to him, pick his brain about his videos. And Gerard's the same thing. I met him at SoCal Gaming Expo last year actually, and he signed my hat. I bought one of his hats, and I was just like really happy to meet him because here's this YouTuber I've looked up to, and now I started watching one of his videos for Final Fantasy 16, but still now that I'm watching it, it's just hard to watch or see his videos come up on my feed now because of what happened.
Yeah.
And it really freaking sucks.
Yeah,
that
there's
a YouTuber that you've watched and loved for years has come out and done these things, and it kind of, when stuff like this happens, you also have to remember that the stuff that people put up online on like your Instagram, or even us, like when we do shows like this, we are putting up stuff that we want you to see.
Yeah.
Not to say that everything is facade, because even though we're doing a show and I don't like what you're seeing here is mostly me as I am IRL.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm only putting up stuff that I want people to see, that I'm okay with people seeing.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things, man, where like, especially, and this is an entirely other conversation, but like we live in a generation, like in a digital generation, where like people love to see people fail, and like and it's a conversation of people have a mindset that like they're just waiting for the shoe to drop. It's like, oh, I've always hated that guy. Oh, I've never liked that guy, and it's like, obviously, if you've done something truly heinous and illegal, like you deserve the repercussions. But sometimes shit like this happens, like with something like with Gerard, where like it was a mistake. It was an honest mistake. Like I don't think Gerard's a bad person. Like but again, he did a charity event for 10 years. Like he wasn't doing that for nothing, right? Like he lost his mom to this disease, and he wanted to raise money for it. He handled it extremely poorly. But like people extrapolate like, oh, he did this thing, to like, oh, this guy is a criminal and he should go to jail and I hate him forever. Yeah. Like, and the thing is, like, people should be allowed to make mistakes and grow. And that's another thing. Like, people aren't allowed to make mistakes anymore, because once you do, you're immediately canceled, quote unquote canceled, right? And you aren't allowed, like someone like Pro Jared, like he's never recovered from that, despite like this happening years ago, right? So like, it's another thing of like, sometimes people need to have a little more grace with these type of situations. Again, like I'm the same way. Like I haven't watched Gerard's new video because like this I feel like I got burned by someone I really trusted. But like when you take a step back, it's like he did donate the money. He didn't pocket any of the money. He made a mistake that he didn't know how to immediately correct. And like I think people should be allowed to make mistakes and grow as people. So I think Gerard will bounce back eventually. Like I think he's a talented dude, and like he's the best at like the type of thing he does. Like I love his stuff, and like, dude, like playing video games is for a job is fun, but like that dude plays like 12 hours a day every day. He plays every game to completion. Like he does so much research and like and all this indie stuff, and like he loves supporting indie developers. So like I hope he will bounce back. Like I want to be able to like his stuff again. You know, I was definitely felt like, oh, I'm done with this guy, but like I was in the moment heated about it, you know, as you often are with these situations.
Oh yeah, especially because it's a charity for something that is obviously near and dear to Gerard's heart. Like if I lost my mom or any family, I did lose my grandmother to complications of like when near the end, it was really hard to hold a conversation with my grandmother on my mom's side. It was just super extremely difficult because we would talk to her and she would go off and I would wait for a response and she would go, huh? And I 100% understand it. It sucks losing a loved one to a disease like that. And unlike the, not to say that, it's probably wrong of me to compare this to the Pro Jared scandal.
Yeah.
With Pro Jared, he never did recover, but once again, those allegations were 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And really, like, jail time was on the table. Were they true?
Yeah. And also, real quick, like, there's a difference between, like, oh, like handling a money situation bad, and like, and besides like the underage of like treating his wife extremely poorly, like that is something people will never forgive. And like
Right.
that is something, again, like I'm not here to say you should forgive everyone who does something bad to someone, but like people should be allowed to make mistakes and grow as people, because otherwise how are you supposed to become better as a person, you know? Like
Exactly.
we are always improving as people throughout our entire lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the whole situation with with Gerard the completionist does suck, but at the same, also I saw a video for a thumbnail where Carl Jobst uploaded it, and it's Gerard's face, and it says he did nothing wrong. And I haven't watched it yet, but at the same time, this is like a recent video from Jobst as well.
Yeah.
Because I follow both Gerard and Jobst on Twitter, and apparently after Gerard's response, Jobst tweeted, "It's like, look, if you're gonna come after me, I'm fully prepared." Because he's been gone after before. Like when he did his videos on Billy Mitchell was suing him in Australia. It was all this stuff, and he's like, "Dude, if you want to come after me, I've done this dance before. I'm ready."
Yeah.
And it sucked because I respect both of these guys.
Yeah.
I respect Gerard for his dedication and passion of what he loves and does, especially when it comes to indie games, because he is a huge, like you said, he is a huge champion of indie games.
Mm-hmm.
And I also respect Carl Jobst because, like, here are some of the dirty things of gaming, especially the WADA scandal, and he's like, let's talk about this because this does truly suck and it hurts everyone who loves this hobby.
Yeah, and
it's
and the investigation, they weren't doing anything illegal. They were looking into public tax information that anyone could look up. It's just they were the first people to really look at it, going, "Wait, where? Every year he donates money, but I don't see any records of it. Let's dig deeper." And then they found this grave mine. And like the thing is, like, again, this is like it's like, I don't think Gerard was doing this on purpose, but like if this went on for like another 10 years and he never donated that money, we're talking millions of dollars that never went to charity. That is a problem. That is a problem whether he spent the money or not. Like it shouldn't just be sitting in a bank account waiting for no reason. So like, again, it's not the biggest scandal in the world, but like it is something that's like, this is going to take some time to recover from, but I think he will.
I will say this has damaged his reputation, but it hasn't but he hasn't gotten the YouTube/video gamer death knell, especially when it has been revealed that the money was never pocketed, and yes, the reasoning of like why the money was sitting there for a long time isn't the best, but the sheer fact that the money was never put into personal bank accounts is a good thing. So I don't want to say this like that fully absolves him, but at the same time, it's like, okay, he still did not do anything illegal. But yeah, like you said, he could have gone around it a little bit better. But it does suck because I was happy when I got to that part in Sea of Stars that to see someone who not only championed the game hardcore, but championed the studio and made the studio. Because when Sea of Stars came out, it was this huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
Even my own Twitter timeline was just going all over the place talking about how Sea of Stars is an amazing indie game. It's an amazing turn-based RPG. And playing Sea of Stars got me to start finally playing Chrono Trigger.
Hell yeah.
Like, oh, I see the resemblance, but as I'm playing Sea of Stars, I'm like, this game is just fantastic.
Yeah.
To me, it jumped from little known indie game to Game of the Year frontrunner.
And
I'm kind of bummed it was snubbed for a Game of the Year.
Yeah.
But the fact that it still won a few awards at the Game Awards this year and it's gotten other indie awards is great. Yeah. And we're finally getting a physical copy, which I'm probably going to double dip because I want to support that game.
Absolutely. And that game is a indie game, but like I don't think it's a little indie game anymore because like that game is massively popular now, which that studio deserves. Like every studio deserves as much, you know, especially if a game is good, it deserves as much eyes on it as possible. And it's on Xbox Game Pass, so check it out there.
I started playing it because of my PlayStation Plus subscription.
There you go. They were giving it out.
I want to say a week after it was initial release, because I think when it dropped on the store, I want to say it was like $20 maybe.
I think it was like 30. I think
30. Okay, yeah, but still, indie game like that, $30. That 100% understand that. But then it's like, hey, if you're part of like the middle tier for PlayStation, you can access and play this game at no extra charge. I'm like, download instantly.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Give it to me. Even when I was playing Tears, there are times where I was playing Tears of the Kingdom, I took little breaks from Tears and I started playing Seas of Stars. I'm like, okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
This game is true. Like, I love this game. That's the reason why it was in my top 15 for Fake Nerd podcast.
Well, we'll talk about it a little bit later.
We'll talk about more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna jump to another news story real quick because this isn't really a news story. It's just something that I don't know why. Like we were talking about a while ago, how people like to see other people fail,
Yeah.
and I don't want to say this is in the same vein of that, but it's outrage about something that is really dumb and how angry these people are. And I don't know why. It just makes me laugh at the absurdity of it all.
What's that?
So in the December, we had the Game Awards,
It's true.
and Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year.
Yeah, it did. My number one game, my number one item on my
Yep.
top 15. Wow, what a great game.
As I have yet to play Baldur's Gate 3, keyword there being yet.
Oh god, Ben, when you play it, you're gonna lose your mind. I'm so
I'm gonna
excited.
lose I mean, I'm gonna go into this later, but I'm pretty sure 2024 for me is gonna be the year of RPGs for me.
Mhm.
But because I kind of planned out as like once I beat certain games, I'm gonna go out and get other games. But that's beside the point.
Mhm.
But the point is this Dungeons and Dragons style video game, which has been in development for years,
6 years.
and 6 years, and it took the world by storm with how immersive it is, with how customizable it is, with how every single decision you make truly affects. Not to say that Telltale games don't, but there are times where it's like so and so will remember that, and that doesn't kind of play into effect later on.
Yeah.
I mean, it still your choices still matter, but it's not to this extent.
Yeah.
But even though I have yet to play Baldur's Gate 3, after seeing all the stuff about it online, after seeing it being just taken over on my TikTok, on my timeline, the memes, all the other stuff, I'm thinking to myself, it's probably gonna win Game of the Year. And you know what? This deserves it. As much as I love Tears of the Kingdom, as much as I thought Tears of the Kingdom is my Game of the Year for 2023,
Yeah.
because I played it.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 is one of those games where I know once I sit down and play it, I'm gonna be like, nope, this one.
Real quick,
So-
the thing about Baldur's Gate 3 that is also so special is it came out in August, and before that, nobody was talking about it because
Nope.
that game was in early access for 3 years on the PC. It's a 3-act game, hundreds of hours, but only Act 1 was available for 3 years. And they, with the community, helped fine-tune that game to be the perfect game that the community will love. And that's why it's also won many, best community support of the year is also Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff. So, it came out in August, and people who had no idea it was coming out are like, wait, this game exists? Wait, the greatest Dungeons and Dragons RPG of all time just came out of nowhere? And it literally did take the world by storm, by surprise. So it was also just surprised that this is truly one of the greatest games ever made, and I didn't even know it was coming out because again, it was in development for many years at that point, so it was kind of a known quantity, but it wasn't done. And now that we got the finished product, ooh, I couldn't give enough chef kisses.
Yeah, I know. No one, I didn't know it was coming out. I was like, but I hear Baldur's Gate, I'm like, oh hey, Baldur's Gate, that's the Dungeons and Dragons thing, right? Okay, cool. So obviously wins Game of the Year. A lot of gaming circles are like, of course it does, because for the longest time until August, the conversation was Tears of the Kingdom. That's Game of the Year in lock.
Ooh, real quick, on our last Fake Nerd podcast, my prediction in 2022 for 2023 was no game will beat Tears of the Kingdom. I even Sparks Witty wrote it down I guarantee there won't be a game that comes out better than Tears of the Kingdom, and Tears of the Kingdom is my number 8 on my list. So that goes to show you how many things can surprise you in a year. But go ahead.
Baldur's Gate 3 just came up as a surprise, mother effer.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, why am I talking about Baldur's Gate 3? Well, because there's a certain section of gamers.
Do they have webs involved?
Yes, it does. They outed themselves as only playing a certain type of game, and really not being plugged in. Now, I'm not saying they're not plugged into the gamer space, but they're very selective in the gamer space. And they are so mad because while Spider-Man 2 was nominated for Game of the Year, and I'm not saying Spider-Man 2 isn't a great video game. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen the reviews and they're like, hey, the game is great, but after talking,
it's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. Yeah.
It's a pretty good. Once again, it's not a bad game.
No.
They were so mad that Baldur's Gate 3 beat out Spider-Man 2, and a lot of these there's this one streamer I saw who was like, "No, it's Spider-Man." It's he pauses the video and goes, "Bro, be serious. Who's playing this game?" It's like, where have you been?
Millions of people actually.
Have you been living under a rock? I mean, I know the algorithm on TikTok and Twitter does certain things, but dude, Baldur's Gate 3 took over everyone by storm.
Yeah. It's also a situation of people who don't like either PC games, tactics games, like they don't like, you know, hardcore computer games, which this is. Like it is a point and click, very talky, you know, it's not Spider-Man quick action. It is you're taking turn by turn by turn, like strategizing. It's D&D, you know, as it's literally D&D in a video game. So like there's strategy involved, and like so many of the arguments are like, how can people enjoy this? Just clicking around and like picking random buttons. I'm like, y'all, it's called like a genre. It's called having a different like opinion. Like just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. And like as someone who has played Spider-Man 2 and it is a great game, I've played Spider-Man 1, and like while it is an improvement on that first game, there's a lot of it. It's the same map. There's a lot of the same stuff. If anything, the abilities are trimmed down from Spider-Man 1. Whereas Baldur's Gate 2 is, if there's anything you've ever done tabletop D&D, you can do in this game. You can. It is the most, like you said earlier, it is the most customizable, free flowing game ever made. And I'm not just saying that. It truly is. Like you can kill every NPC that you want and limit the amount of quests you can do, and still complete the game. Like it is remarkable. And some people are like, oh, it's turn based. I hate it. How can it win? I'm like, y'all are just silly. Y'all are just silly people.
Yeah. And I have a feeling those people who complain about the turn-based stuff, then when a new Final Fantasy comes out, goes, "Where's the turn-based?" Or probably not them, but
But that is also an argument of like old school fans versus new school fans. I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But just I bring this up because it just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Seeing these gamers be so upset that Spider-Man didn't win Game of the Year, and seeing other people just like give like these people like the, huh?
Yeah,
it's like oh god, there's like this great meme where it's like that the one meme where it's like the WT or that it's that one gentleman where he smiles and you see a bunch of question marks around his head.
Yeah,
it's like, huh?
Also, Yuri Lowenthal, who is a great voice actor, was nominated for Peter Parker as like best male voice actor of the year, and he lost to a Baldur's Gate 3 character, who, in my opinion. Again, there's like 7 party members that you can join in Baldur's Gate 3. Every single one of them is good enough and has enough like content in the game to be the star of their own game. And Astarion is such an incredible character. He's a very sassy vampire who has had hundreds of years of trauma being a subject of like whether it's like regular assault, sexual assault, being the underling of a vampire, and it is a very real character and a very real performance you don't get to see in a lot of video games because of how real it gets. And like that's what I love about Baldur's Gate 3. Like it's not just like, oh, we're playing D&D. It's like these are all characters with like real past, and because it's a very M-rated game, they don't shy away from like the scary stuff that human beings experience. And like Spider-Man 2, he's great, but have you ever seen a Spider-Man product where like Peter Parker becomes angry because of the symbiote suit? Guess what? I've seen that 1,000 times. It's great, but it's not anything unique. Baldur's Gate 3 is nothing but unique. So like people are like, how could Yuri lose? And I'm like, y'all, there's like 7 characters better than Peter Parker this year, and they're all in one game. Not to mention Alan Wake or Final Fantasy. Ben Starr is incredible as Clive. So like, it is like a certain subsection of people who are like, I play 3 types of games a year, and any other game doesn't count as a video game. And I'm like, y'all need to grow up.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that because it brings me this weird part of Schadenfreude joy.
Yeah.
To see some gamers just go off and they try to justify their argument about Spider-Man being better than Baldur's Gate, and it's like, dude, look, I love action games.
Yeah.
Obviously, I also love RPGs. Mm-hmm. You have to be to me, loving video games or loving certain genres. Like if there's a genre of video game that's your absolute favorite, go hog wild. That is your genre of video game. That is 100% valid and 100% fine.
Yeah.
But ignoring other genres and saying that, oh, that's not a video game, this is a video game, is just asinine, and it's dumb.
And I've talked to you about this, Ben, before. Like I love RPGs, but like the heyday of me playing old school RPGs that are turn-based is kind of behind me because like I only have so much time left in my life. I'm not trying to play 100 hours of you attack, then I attack, then you attack, right? That's all Baldur's Gate 3 is. That game is so good. It brought me out of the, like, I'm kind of done with this genre. Again, not that it's bad, it's just not for me anymore. And I played 120 hours of a turn-based hardcore RPG because it's that good. It is that good. It made me a believer again.
While I absolutely love and adore Final Fantasy 16, and I love the action, I love the fast-pacedness of the whole thing.
Torgal!
The grand anime, you know, the grand anime of it, of the grand anime style.
Yeah.
When I go when I finished Final Fantasy 16, I went immediately back to Sea of Stars, which is a turn-based RPG.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it because it's like, okay, let me think, let me strategize, let me plan, let me figure out how, you know, let me get back in the groove of combat. It's like, oh, that's right, I can do this, and it helps me out with these certain type of enemies. All right, let's do this. You know, you go from like fast-paced to slow it down. The enjoyment is still there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I didn't beat Final Fantasy 16, but I really like that combat system. It makes me think of how excited I am for another game we'll briefly talk about that's coming out later in a couple months. But the Final Fantasy 7 remake combat, it is fast paced. Also, you can stop time and do tactical stuff too. It gives you both. It gives you both options. And like, I'm not gonna say every game needs that, but like, I love that. Like, if I'm in the middle of a battle and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on, I'm losing, I can pause time and I can have all my characters select what they need to, then re-enter combat. I love that. So like again, like, just because you don't like a genre doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not for you. Like, that's totally fine.
Yeah, 100%. And even some of the most popular games, I won't knock them. I'll just say, like, look, personally, it's not my favorite. Case in point, Skyrim. Yeah. I've played Skyrim. I played about, say, 10, 15 hours of Skyrim. I can comfortably say it's like, I don't like Skyrim.
Yeah.
Now, is that me saying that Skyrim is a bad game? Hell no. Is that me saying that Bethesda's a bad game maker? No. I'm just saying that the way that the game does it, and how other people are trying to say how I have to enjoy Skyrim, it's like, look, you guys are more than fine to enjoy Skyrim. I played it. I just feel that Skyrim just gives, like, to me, it's just like way too much all at once.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to pick and choose.
And that's what I love about it, because I like I like going into a world and, like, the world is my oyster. Do what you want whenever you want. And again, that's just preference of what you like in your games.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are other games I feel that do it in a style that makes me able to tackle it easier, such as Tears of the Kingdom. Whereas it's like, hey, here's something like Skyrim, but it's a little more scaled down. Every town doesn't have 1.5 million side quests. You know, all this other stuff that you can say, I'm going to do this side quest, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, what was I doing again?
Yeah.
You know, you forget what you were doing. Now, I'm not saying, once again, Skyrim's not bad. It's just that after playing it, I realized I don't enjoy that style of gameplay.
Yeah.
Am I willing to give it another chance sometime, somewhere down the line? Of course I am. I'm not saying that I'm never going to touch Skyrim again, and also, I have to admit, the soundtrack is banging.
True.
I mean, every time I hear the Dragonborn song, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready.
I was literally playing Skyrim in VR 2 days ago. Because VR combat makes everything better, baby.
But it's just, for me, it's just not my style, or at least I haven't cracked it yet.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to give it another chance. Like, I've done it before. At first, I thought I was gonna hate games like Final Fantasy, and then I gave Final Fantasy a chance, and I learned about it a little bit more. It's like, okay, yeah, I understand the appeal, and now I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the thing, y'all. Just say, just don't knock it till you try it, and if you try it and it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Just like movies, music, television, like, not everything has to be for you, and that's okay.
Yeah, 100%. So just, you know, let people enjoy things.
Yeah. Also, Spider-Man, like, sold millions and millions of copies. It's the most popular character in the history of, like, fiction. Yeah. He doesn't need your help. He doesn't need to win a game award. He's fine. He will be fine.
It's the fact that we got a good Spider-Man game is celebration enough.
Absolutely.
I mean, yes. I mean, having it being getting a Game of the Year recognition is all, you know, it's nice. It's validating.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just a video game. It's not saying, like, oh, I can't enjoy my video game now because it's not regarded as the best. It's like, dude, Super Mario Wonder is one of the best platformers I played in years. And I don't know if that won any awards.
Didn't win a goddamn thing.
Yeah, and it's still a fantastic title that I would highly recommend to anyone who enjoys side-scrolling platformers because it's just so damn cute.
Another character, Mario, doesn't need help.
Exactly.
He's been fine for almost 40 years at this point, right?
He's fine. It's good.
We'll talk about that later because that's the game we played. We also played.
That is a game. That is a game. So, Ryan, let's jump back to you because I have one more news story that I want to talk about.
I got one.
Jump back to you,
I got one more, and we'll just make it quick because we're
yeah.
not here to mourn it, but we're here to celebrate it. E3's dead, Ben. E3 died.
Oh, I was gonna talk about E3. Yeah.
Well, don't worry. I'm here to talk about it. I love announcements, whether it's a new movie trailer or like a new video game trailer. Like, I just love being excited about something new. And E3 for the longest time was the only way. It is the Super Bowl of video games. It is a week where all the companies get together and they have giant press conferences. Hey, here's what's coming out in the next 1 to 2 years, and it's exciting. And I would always watch it live. Like G4 was really instrumental in live streaming it. They were the only place doing it at the time, but now, in the modern era, anyone can do it.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. The X-Play coverage of E3 and the Tokyo Game Show.
Yep.
Those were events for my brother and I.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever E3 was the one, like, we'd be watching X-Play and they're like, hey, E3 is right around the corner. We're going to be there. We're going to have these episodes. We're going to have coverage on these days, at these times. I would be watching Adam and Morgan just talking about games for E3 that are coming out because of E3, and my brother and I would be excited. I remember them talking about the PSP, the DS, and my brother trying to figure out who would ask for what system, and we would just share it between the two.
Hell yeah!
It was an event. Even when certain games got announced, like the whole programming schedule, like when Halo 2 finally came out.
Oh,
G4 was like, Halo 2 Day is this.
Oh my god.
San Andreas, this is GTA Day, and they're just constantly covering and talking about the game because it was an event.
Oh yeah.
And E3 was an event, and now that it's gone, I'm bummed, but I do agree E3 needed to change, and they refused to. Hence why we don't need it anymore.
And here's the thing, like, I loved E3, but like I'm not gonna miss it because now I get an E3 like every couple months because all the Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, they realized we don't need to wait until July to announce our games. We could just do it ourselves. Like, we don't need, like, again, GTA 6, we're like, hey, we're just going to release the trailer whenever we want, and now it's the highest viewed trailer, like, of video game history. They didn't need E3 for that. It got leaked,
Not only that, but also, it got leaked, but also Rockstar was just like, they're like, ugh. Because apparently it got leaked because one of the developers' kids found it and leaked it.
Yo, that kid is, like, in a bunker somewhere he's never going to see light ever again.
That kid, I can only assume that parent would just grounded the. It's like, you are truly grounded until you're 25.
Oh
you're
my
not
God.
seeing the light. Take your phone, take your tablet, take everything. You're not speaking to the outside world. Partially because I'm mad, but also for your safety.
Yeah,
people are nuts.
Yeah, that franchise is so big. Doing something like that, like, if that kid were any older, he would straight up just be in jail, like, for a long time. Because they got lawyers. Rockstar's got lawyers like crazy. But yeah, E3's gone, and again, like, we got Nintendo Directs, we got State of Plays, we have Xbox, like, developers conferences. We have the Game Awards, which is probably the biggest thing. There's Summer Game Fest. There's Tokyo Game Show. There's the DICE Awards. Like, almost every month, there's something new. And I'm like,
PAX,
there's PAX,
there's MagFest, there's all these other events and conventions throughout the year, and also the thing about E3, because for the longest time E3 was essentially developer and press only.
Yep.
While we would watch on G4, or later on we would watch online all these grand press conferences, all these grand things, and then like these people would show off the swag. It's like, how come we can't go? Because I feel like E3, because they did try to allow the general public, buy tickets, come in, and they try to turn it into a convention. And I felt that should have been not how E3 started, but at least evolved into sooner.
Yep.
Because if the E3 turned into a convention, kind of like San Diego Comic-Con, I feel that we would still have E3, but maybe just, it would be a little bit different. You would still have the big releases. You would still have some game developers like show off. One of the coolest things about E3 was having demo tables.
Yeah.
Say, hey, come play our game. Stand in line for X amount of minutes, and you get to try an early build or a certain level, like they do at San Diego.
Now that's at every con I've ever been to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I played Spider-Man like a couple months before it came out because Sony had like a demo set up. God, this was 5 years ago at this point. It's been a long time. Jeez Louise. But like at one of the Comic-Cons we went to, whether it was WonderCon or LA Comic-Con, but like I could just play Spider-Man early because like we don't need to go to just E3 anymore. Which is great. And
Yeah, like San Diego Comic Con, Capcom was there, and they had a booth, and they had demos of Mega Man 11, and I played Mega Man 11.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like also like it definitely was like the coronavirus and the pandemic definitely is what killed E3. But like I feel like E3 was in its death knees anyway, because like again, every other month we have a cool conference that like we don't need to wait until 1 week of the year to do all this. Like we used to for some reason, but now in the digital age it's so much easier, and everyone has so much more access to this stuff. It's like we don't need to be beholden to the electronic entertainment emporium of America. Expo, whatever.
Yeah, the Electronic Entertainment Expo. I mean, I will say in the early 90s, E3 was important.
I mean, up until like I would say 5 years ago, it was important. Yeah. But like
because originally, because looking at video game history, reading books, and watching documentaries, back before E3 was a thing, it was at the Consumer Electronics Show, both in Vegas and in Chicago, where Nintendo, Sega, eventually, well, PlayStation didn't show their stuff until
C2,
the very
C2
first
E2,
E3.
C2 E2.
Yeah, because all these companies, Nintendo and Sega mostly, or Atari and Coleco, Mattel, they would show off their consoles at CES, which CES wasn't just about video games; it was spanning everywhere, all consumer electronics. So when the video game companies finally figured, why don't we have a show for ourselves? Because in the early 90s, or in the mid 90s at least, they realized that, hey, the video game business is finally growing. We've recovered from the crash of 83, and now people are paying attention more to soul video games. Let's have our own show.
Yeah.
And there you go. And it worked out. And in the early days, it definitely was a place for video games to be video games. Like, I will never forget watching an E3, I want to say it was E3 2005, and we were getting more confirmation about the Nintendo Revolution, which would of course be called the Nintendo Wii. But seeing this new Nintendo console, or seeing what it can do, it's like, what is this? What's going on? Or the infamous Boomerang PlayStation 3 controller. You remember that?
Yeah.
That infamous image from E3 when they first announced the PS3?
Yeah, the E3 also, like, E3 has a lot of like really cringe moments too, which are always fun to go back to.
Giant crab.
Giant enemy crab. Oh god, that's the best. Like, yeah, this is a realistic, old school history game. Now watch us fight a giant enemy crab. Love it. Great stuff like that. It's fantastic.
Or of course the greatest meme that turned Reggie Fils-Aimé into the meme machine that he is. Going on the balance boards like, my body is ready.
My body is
ready.
Embracing
it.
Nintendo
embraces it.
Nintendo had a lot of really, really silly conferences. Do you remember when they were showing off like Wii Music, and there's the drummer guy? Oh boy, howdy, just playing.
Oh god.
Yeah, listen, that's
Wii Music.
There's great Wii Music, also one of the highest selling games of all time. Because it was packaged with the Wii, and that counts as game sales. That's how they get you.
I mean, Wii Sports is the highest selling Wii game.
That's the one. That's the one. Just kidding. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was packed because Wii Music was critically panned.
But it still sold like crazy though.
It sold a lot because it was a Wii game and people liked the Wii games. Yeah. Like, Wii Sports Resort. The Wii Fitness balance board was a big thing. Like, we bought that for my mom.
Ring Fit.
She never played it.
Ring Fit.
Definitely. Yeah. I haven't played. Fanny and I bought Ring Fit. We were into Ring Fit for a while. She technically beat the game. I just never.
That's an actual workout device. Like, that's an actual good product.
No, it is.
Yeah.
The Ring Fit Adventure is really good. I should probably get back into it because actually no, my gym membership is not super expensive, so I'm able to go, and also it gets me out of the house. True.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it long, but like, E3 is gone, but like its memory is always in our hearts. Because again, like we don't need to wait for 1 week of the year. Let's just eat. No. We can eat cake all the time. Why wait 1 week?
Yep.
Yeah.
Really quick, what is your favorite moment from E3? Do you have one?
Well,
or at least one that comes to mind.
Anytime Metal Gear Solid things got announced, because Metal Gear Solid 2 is like maybe the most hyped moment of all of E3, because the first game, which came out in 99, broke boundaries. One of like the first like true cinematic like storytelling games for the PlayStation with full voice acting. Not that other games didn't have it, but like, this is like a movie. And then MGS2 is like the most hyped game of all time. And like, I wasn't there for it and I couldn't see it because again, in like 2002, none of this was televised or anything. But seeing the hype that the people at that stadium, the hype behind like the demo discs for it, and then once I became became a fan in like MGS4 and MGS5. MGS5, one of my favorite games. Like the hype behind that game was so unreal, and it was the last time that Kojima worked with Konami. So that whole spiral of their downfall was really interesting. But like anytime Metal Gear Solid, I don't remember if when God of War was announced, if that was at the Game Awards or that was E3.
Are we talking 2016 God of War?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
2018 God of War?
yeah, the reboot with Norse Kratos.
That was E3.
Okay, yeah.
I was actually gonna talk about that because that was actually the first episode of Fake Nerd Podcast that Brandon and I did together.
That's right.
We
I sent notes.
about...
I sent notes on it to
you
Brandon.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it was 2016. It was 2016's God of War.
Yep.
The announcement for 2016 God of War.
Yeah.
Or 2018 God of War because it came out. It was announced 2 years in advance.
Yeah, yeah.
I will never just hearing the choir and then seeing Atreus.
Yeah.
I had that song on my phone as in my soundtrack because it's just so damn good. But then when we see Kratos, like old, disheveled Kratos with a full beard,
yeah,
and it's just like, that's a great moment. But even going for me, it's one of my favorite moments is just going back into the vault. It's just the time I spent with my brother, and us watching E3, taking notes, like when they would reveal trailers for Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. And we would see new footage of that as a trailer for the movie that it's got problems, but I love it. I love it so much.
They got like a remaster of that movie out or something coming out. No, don't they or something? Isn't there like
I don't know.
Hold on, you keep talking. I know they're doing something.
Crisis Core. I know the PSP game Crisis Core got a remaster and it got re-released for PS5 and modern consoles. But yeah, seeing stuff for Final Fantasy VII Advent Children was amazing. Seeing just like constantly watching E3, just like frothing at the mouth for any news on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh God,
yeah, or not even Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts 2. Like when they finally started showing stuff for Kingdom Hearts 2, I was like, give it to me. And for me, I think one of the most memorable parts was when people on the floor were looking at the PSP and the Nintendo DS. For me, that sticks out in my mind because that was like, here are these two brand new handheld consoles. The PSP, when it was first announced, it still does look amazing to this day.
Oh yeah.
But when it first came out, it was one of those mind-blowing, like, oh my god, I could play PlayStation games on the go. And then we looked at the DS, we're like, I don't know, but 2 screens, what can you do with two screens? That's just so weird. And now the DS just like overtook the PlayStation, the PSP in sales.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to say the PSP is a bad system, far from it.
Do you remember the nut commercial?
Oh yes, it's like a nut you can play with outside.
What were they thinking? I got some clarification on what I thought. They're not like it's so they are re-releasing Advent Children in theaters January 19th to the 1st of 2024 to promote the launch of Rebirth coming out. And I think there's like extra stuff in it as like hey, thanks for coming to the theater. Here's some behind the scenes stuff. But like, I don't know if that's everywhere or like a Fathom event, but
it might be a Fathom event because I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? I wouldn't mind going to. I mean, although if I had to pick between Godzilla -1 minus color and FF7 Advent Children, I'd probably pick -1.
Oh, absolutely! Oh my god, yeah! What a movie!
I mean, I don't need an excuse to see -1 again, but now it's like,
yeah,
black and white, you say?
It is just interesting that like Advent Children stuff is coming so into the new Final Fantasy VII stuff because like they're putting that movie out again to get you hyped for Rebirth, and I'm like, that's pretty sick. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I mean, hey, once again, that movie has some problems with it, but you know what?
The action is not part of it. The action's sick. I'm gonna keep throwing you up to fight a big monster.
Hey, fighting Neo Bahamut that like evil Bahamut was just that's one of my most hyped scenes in anime history, or even like when Sephiroth shows up and you hear the opening notes to One Winged Angel, I still get chills just thinking about it.
Well, maybe we'll talk about Bahamut a little bit later with the game you played. Maybe who sees?
Maybe we will. But yeah, my last news story. Once again, we'll go real quick because we are coming up on it some time, or at least we're approaching it quick. We're approaching it sooner.
Yeah.
Is Microsoft's ban on third-party controllers on the Xbox excludes some disabled gamers from using the device.
Yeah.
And this sucks. Now, once again, video games are for all, and I remember some time ago Microsoft was being praised as to how well that they are letting gamers with certain disabilities, they're making adaptive controllers for them so they can enjoy the games like everyone else can. Because unfortunately, there are people who aren't able to, who don't have their motor functions aren't as, I don't want to say developed, but they have limited motor functions.
Yeah.
Some of them are paralyzed below the neck, from the neck down, and it's really hard and difficult for
They
them to
can't use
play
their
video
hands
games.
fully. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they can't use their hands fully, or there's just like, or they have certain muscle. Having disabilities sucks, and I am blessed that I don't have any physical disabilities like that. But seeing video games and video game controllers that are made for people with disabilities so they can enjoy games like everyone else, I'm like 100%. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And at first, when I heard about this headline, my thought process was, part of is like, maybe they're trying to get rid of the really crappy third party ones, because there are bad third party controllers.
Oh, sure.
Mad Catz, anyone?
Oh man, I grew up poor. I had those like shitty Mad Catz controllers all day, every day. Absolutely.
Yeah, even in today's day and age, I would see like Rock Candy controllers at like GameStop, or I have a third party crappy PS2 controller that sucks. It is not a good controller, but you know what? It does the job. And at first, I'm thinking, okay, maybe Microsoft wants to do quality control, because I'm not saying that they're. I can only imagine that there are certain third-party controllers that are advertised as, this is for people with this disability, or who don't have this, and it turns out the controller is absolutely garbage and it doesn't work well, or because at first it's like, maybe this is Xbox trying to weed out these bad controllers, so they can like, hey, this is the one where we could use. But at the same time, even looking at the current accessibility controller that they do have, what if a person can't use that controller? They have to use a different one.
Well, this is not, again, this is, promise you, this is not me defending this thing, because having access to more stuff is always a good thing. But like the Microsoft accessibility controller is incredible, and it is so customizable. It's like this circular thing, and you can put every type of button you want, where you want, control the sensitivity, how hard it is to press a button. So like, it's a double-edged sword of like, it is incredibly cool that they have their own accessibility controller, but they want you to buy their controller, so they're limiting the other ones, and that is shitty. It's not like there's no way to play an Xbox game without an accessibility controller. They just want you to spend the money on their own product, and that part does suck.
Yeah, and I have a article from the website The Conversation up right now. And it's highlighted that because on Halloween, Xbox players began receiving an error code on their consoles that they were using an unauthorized third-party controller.
Yeah.
And one paragraph down, it says, this is me quoting The Conversation right now. Essentially, Microsoft had quietly banned the use of controllers not made or approved by the company. In the following weeks, Microsoft officially stated the ban was meant to protect players' gaming experiences and ensure the quality and safety of players' controllers. And the next sentence afterwards says, the ban, however, presents barriers to many disabled gamers who may use third-party controllers for accessibility reasons.
Yeah, and like, quality wise or not, but like, a lot of these controllers are cheaper than, like, man, to buy a new controller for PlayStation or Xbox or even Nintendo, like, you're spending like $60-$70. That's a lot.
Even more than that.
And for regular controllers, the accessibility ones are like double the price. So like, you want to go to a cheaper alternative, which again is completely reasonable. You know, I buy off-brand shit all the time. But like, to limit people from playing your thing because you want them to buy the more expensive version, that's just kind of mean. That sucks.
It does suck, and it is mean, and it's a huge bummer, because I could see why Microsoft is doing it, but at the same time, it's like, but even looking at the accessibility controller and seeing how great that controller is, especially for gamers who, I could still look at it and go, but does that cover all disabilities?
Yeah.
And I'm not, and sorry, I don't know if I'm regretting like bringing this topic up, because I'm not a disabled gamer. I don't have disabilities, and I don't want to say I speak for people who do, because I have not met or talked to people who have this. And if you're watching this and you have experience in this field, please let us know, or talk about your experience. I would love to know and find out. But even looking at the Xbox accessibility controller itself, once again, great device, but I still feel that it doesn't cover everyone.
Yeah.
And a different third-party company that specializes in a certain form of disability, like maybe one's disabilities that are controlled, that's like, hey, here's a controller for people who are paralyzed from the neck down. They can only move their head. They can't use their hands. I don't see a controller like that from Xbox. And all of a sudden, if you want to play a game like that or play a game with that controller, you can't because Xbox doesn't make one like that, and now you're banned from using your third party one, and it sucks.
I just looked it up. The accessibility controller is $100. That's a lot of money for a controller.
That is.
That's a lot of money for a controller.
100%. So, I mean, like you said, Ryan, it is a double-edged sword, but also I feel that in trying to protect some of their IP or protect their, I don't know, maybe their image or something, you're also limiting to what people can play.
No, absolutely. And especially, like I get it as a business. You're like, hey, we want you to buy our branded stuff. I get that. But when it comes to, and something the video game industry as a whole has been getting better at is accessibility, like options in games where, like if you're partially blind, there are color options, there are there's audio options that it is incredible that you can play a game. Like if you're blind, you can play games now because it will give you auditory, audible, like you are moving, and enemies coming. Like they give you every power, like every type of, almost every accessibility option to let you try to play a game. But the fact that they won't let you use a controller that's really baffling. And it's just, I think, I'm not gonna say it was one person's decision, but it feels like a bit like the head of a company, like a businessman, yay, we need to see more money in our controllers. We need to take away the support from the other controllers. That doesn't seem like something that I think developers would want. They want as many people playing games as possible. So this just feels like a really shitty business decision that I'm sure some people are unhappy with, but they can't do anything about because how businesses work.
It totally, it does. To me, it sucks.
Yeah.
And thankfully, news from Sony and Nintendo, because I 100% do want, when I buy a controller, I will buy the branded controller because I know it works.
Absolutely, me too.
The only time, I will do extensive research. If I were to buy a third-party controller, I would buy it from 8BitDo or Retrobit. Someone that is vetted and a place where I know their shit works.
Yeah. And thankfully, modern controllers, I don't play my Switch as much, but I still have my base PlayStation 5 controller for 5 years now at this point. The battery's not the best, but hey, the controller still works. So that's all I can ask for. And if you buy a Mad Catz controller, no offense, but they are cheaper and they will wear faster.
Or because I bought a controller for my fiance so both of us could play, and ever since they gave Jim Ryan, the former CEO of Sony Interactive, or of Sony Computer Entertainment.
Good riddance.
Yeah. Ever since when PlayStation announced, hey, here's his retirement gift, and it was a PS1 colored PS5.
Oh, yeah.
I see that controller, I'm like, for the love of God, Sony, do it.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Looks
year,
beautiful.
2024 is the 30th year of PlayStation. Give me that PS1 colored PS5 controller.
Yeah.
Take my money. I want it.
I can only hope that was like a tease of look what might be coming.
Oh, I hope so. I really hope when Sony released that, they're like, let's see the waters. And even myself online, people were talking about how they wanted that.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them. I want that controller. Because at least we know Sony is decent. They're decent at yes, this will be a limited edition, but it won't be hardcore limited edition. They'll still make sure they'll have a print run, and they'll be like, okay, people do want this. We'll make sure people who want it can get it. And then once sales start to dip, they're like, all right, we'll stop it.
And as far as I'm concerned, as someone who plays all the games, all the consoles, I think the PlayStation 5 controller is the best controller on the market because the haptic feedback, it's just playing on Xbox Game Pass on PC and using my Xbox controller compared to my PlayStation controller, it's night and day. Because it's oh, this controller has some rumble support, where the PlayStation, it can make you feel like you're climbing rocks and sliding down a rope, and the triggers are manageable. I'm oh man, I don't mind spending the extra bucks for a PlayStation controller because they're long lasting and they're technologically awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say the most comfortable one to hold is my Nintendo Pro controller.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Not to say the PS5 one isn't comfortable, it totally is.
Yeah.
And I do agree, if I had to choose the best base controller on the market, I would say PS5.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I've held an Xbox Series X controller, it is comfortable, very comfortable actually. But every time I hold my Nintendo Pro controller, I'm like, this just feels right.
It does feel right. You're right.
And even when I hold my PS5 controller, I'm like, it feels good. But you're right. That extra haptic stuff, it just makes me go, ooh. It's just that little extra, oh my moment.
It's amazing. It's fantastic. But no, it's not fantastic as Microsoft taking away accessibility options. That's a no-go. It's a poo-poo.
No.
That's a poo-poo.
Nope. It's like, what are you doing, Microsoft? Come on, guys. Because at least my whole tangent on that is at least Microsoft and Sony, they are not having any bans on third-party accessibility controllers. Even though I know Sony released an accessibility controller of their own, once again, I think it looks great. I know people are going to get great use out of that, but at least they're not banning third-party controllers from being used. Because once again, while that controller may help a lot of people, it probably won't help all people.
Yeah.
And there are some controllers out there that help with certain disabilities, and those who make those controllers keep going. Video games are for everyone, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone.
Yeah. And the accessibility controller is $89, so it's $10 cheaper than the Xbox One. It's still a little pricey, but like it's you know, when you're buying it from these big companies, you know that at least they're gonna work and they're well made.
100%.
Yeah. Any more you want to talk about that, or you want to move on to some video games?
Let's move on to some video games that we played in the past quarter.
Let's go to the arcade. Let's go to the arcade. Why don't we? Welcome, Ben. There's a game that I played when it came out, and I unfortunately didn't finish. I will get back to it eventually, but like I can only take so many 100-hour RPGs at a time. But Ben,
I finished it.
Ben,
the credits rolled. I beat it recently.
The game.
God Almighty! Oh my God.
The game you finished was Final Fantasy 16. Tell me about it.
Oh, this game was amazing. Now, to me, the best part of Final Fantasy 16 is its story, and I feel like the makers of this game, Creative Business Unit 3. I'm pretty sure it's Creative Business, or it's Business Unit 3.
Yeah.
You know, the main team behind Final Fantasy 16.
Also, real quick,
spoilers for Final Fantasy 16. Spoilers for Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, this is the company that makes Final Fantasy 14 the long running MMO. And they were given, yo, you guys are doing such a good job, because apparently, again, I played like a couple hours of it like years ago, but the story of the MMO FF14 apparently is incredible, and Square loved it so much, like, yo, we want you to make the next mainline game, and I also, I played about half of it, and the main core story is exceptional.
Oh no, the main story, because the whole drama behind the original Final Fantasy 14 of how bad it was. Like, the game itself was bad. Story was bad. Gameplay was bad. Loading screens were just god-awful.
And it got rebooted.
And then when we got A Realm... Like, the developers themselves publicly apologized to a group of people on how bad the game was.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get A Realm Reborn, and now Final Fantasy 14 is one of the best MMOs out there. I would say even rivaling games like World of Warcraft and Diablo.
Oh, it's surpassed.
Actually, no, Diablo's not an MMO, but it's definitely it's kicking World of Warcraft in the teeth right now.
Yeah, World of Warcraft has been around almost 20 years at this point, which is unbelievable because I played that game around launch time, and it makes me sick to think how old I'm getting. But FF14 keeps getting better. It like in the options, and like World of Warcraft is a great game, right? But like people have kind of soured on it because like it is a very, very specific type of MMO, and FF14 just like blows it out of the water with the amount of stuff you can do.
We didn't talk about the stuff that Oh no, that was this year when Bobby Kotick finally. Oh no, was it last year? Like in late December when the ActiBliz deal with Microsoft went through?
That was last year.
Now, well, screw it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
Because the team from 14 went on to 16, and it's no secret that one of the biggest, I would say, critical complaints or criticisms, that's the word I'm looking for, the criticism from 15 was the story wasn't the best. And I agree. Now, not to say the character moments weren't great, because where 15 truly shone bright was the character moments, the character interactions.
Yeah.
Because apparently in Japanese culture, there isn't really a brotherhood like the guys in Final Fantasy 15, and it's kind of pushing the norms. Like, this is what a true brotherhood is. You have Noctis, Ignis, Gladius, and Prompto.
I like those guys a lot.
Yeah, they are a true they are a party, and they are a built brotherhood.
I love getting sponsored ramen noodles with those guys.
Yeah, that was another thing. The sponsorships, the product placement. I know there was but look, the combat in 15 I enjoyed. The exploration in 15 I really enjoyed.
I did too.
But the main problem was, of course, the story wasn't the best.
Yeah.
I feel like 16 hardcore course corrected on the story.
100%.
And while I love the gameplay, the action of 16, I'm kind of bummed they took away some of the more exploratory features of Final Fantasy 15. And mostly, it's a very linear, it's a very story-driven game, which is fine.
Yeah.
I love the story. There's side quests abound too. There's so many different side quests you could do, and some of the side quests, the stories in those side quests are very eye-opening and going, oh damn, they went there.
Oh yeah.
It is a big like they put their all into the story of the game, and even side character stories I give a shit about. I want to see these stories to their end. I want to see these people to, live their lives and how their story ends. But man, do I miss exploring and going and finding secret dungeons, fighting secret bosses, going in, getting some great loot. There's not a lot of treasure hunting. There's not a lot of I mean, there is exploring. It's a semi-open world essentially.
You're kind of going. There's like a bunch of zones that you return back.
Zones.
Yeah.
That's a better way to put it. There's zones you can freely explore, but they're still very limited. It's not like Final Fantasy 15 where like open world is literally open.
I loved. Yeah, I
go anywhere you want.
Absolutely. Like, I agree the story wasn't the best, but I really just love driving around with my homies and just discovering stuff.
Yeah. And also going to secret dungeons. That's like one of my favorite bits is going into like exploring a dungeon and exploring and like one of my favorite things about any Final Fantasy game or RPG in general is finding a secret dungeon or a side dungeon that you don't have to go into to expand story. But guess what? There's treasure in there. This is a great place to level grind or to fight enemies. There's a mini boss there that gives you a really cool piece of equipment, and you're gonna have to work for it. But once you get it, oh man, is it gonna be a game changer later on? Is it gonna be a game changer at this point in the game?
Yeah, again, I haven't beaten this game, but like again, this is a long ass game. I played like 25 hours of it. I really like the combat, but I do have one problem with the combat. It's that like none of the elemental like features really matter.
Yeah.
That's like I beat a fire boss with fire, and like it's about to like how different you beat a boss and you gain their icon abilities, so you can change between like wind and fire and stuff like that. But like it's about staggering the opponent. It's not about the elemental stuff. So like I think the combat's really good, but after a while. It just kind of felt like button management where I'm just waiting for this to recharge. I'm just waiting for this to recharge. And it was still fun, but like eventually I kind of not got tired of it, but I was like, all right, I'm not really doing anything new here. It always looks incredible. Like it always looks cool doing what you're doing, but it kind of just felt like resource management after a bit. And that kind of wore on me a little bit, but the icon fights, man, that's like, the best Godzilla simulator I've ever seen in my life. Like, holy shit, dude.
100%. Fighting, this is an early boss, but fighting Garuda, which is one of the first big icon fight you get into.
Yeah.
Oh man, was that hype?
Yeah.
That was. Even the story about Benedicta and fighting her and just stealing her icon abilities and seeing her prime and turn into an icon and turn into the summoning of Garuda. And I will say. What I love about this game is how they do the summons differently.
Yes.
Whereas the summons aren't technically summons, but they're powers that are given to you. And I really like that feat. I like how each icon is a famous Final Fantasy summon, but they're also tied to a certain element. Shiva, Ice, Phoenix, Ifrit, Fire, Garuda is Wind, Bahamut's Light, and Odin is Darkness. I really like how they took those elements and put classic Final Fantasy spells attached to them, but I do agree the spell typing advantage, it's not really there. Like you said, it's like, oh, I'm fighting a water enemy, but I use the spell, I charge the stone spell, it turns into Stona, but I can't go to Faraga or Blizzaga. It's only to the first powered level, and that's it.
Yeah, and like again, it's not the worst thing ever. I still think the combat, like, it's really fast, it's really dynamic. But like after I got like my fourth icon, and I'm just like, all right, switching to this, using the ability, switching to the other one, using the ability, switching to the other one. Like, there's no strategy really there. It's just a lot of really cool, flashy shit. Which again, like, it still looks cool. It's still fun to play. But like, I kind of wanted a little more because again, this is a Final Fantasy game. I'm used to worrying about like elemental stuff, like any RPG really. But besides that, like again, like the thing I come back to is like, and why I want to return to the game is like the icon fights. Like I've played a lot of games. We've played God of War. We've played a lot of games with big boss fights, but like, not only are the boss fights giant and engaging and dynamic, but also like again, the story is incredible. And these characters, it's not like, oh, you summon a monster that has no relation. Like, you are the monster, and like, you are basically like the story about like people wielding magic and being used as slaves in slavery in the story. And like, you are basically, when you're an icon, like you are a walking nuclear bomb, and that makes you a nuclear deterrent in war. So like, if another country has like an icon, you're like, I don't want to mess with those guys. They got a big stone monster, man. Like, it's really inventive fantasy storytelling. That's like, really the only game that comes close to it really is like the Witcher franchise, which is like another really hardcore, mature look into fantasy and like what would that mean with different races interacting with each other. So like, I really applaud this game for like, you know, Final Fantasy, like, it's by no means like a kid game, but like a lot of these games are like T for teen, or I think of Titus going ah ha, ha, ha. And like, this game's like, no dude, we're dealing with some real shit.
Now this is the first mainline Final Fantasy title. I think this is the first Final Fantasy title ever to get an M rating.
Stranger Origin of Paradise, but that's an that's an offshoot though. It doesn't
mainline. Yeah, but you're right, because Strangers in Paradise did get an M rating, but this one was the first mainline Final Fantasy title. Because M rated games, they are, you know, it limits to the amount of people who can play them, because of course you look at the back of the SRP, there's language, suggested themes, and yada yada yada. But it's obvious that Game of Thrones was a big inspiration for the story of Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah,
and the story itself, if I had comparing it to Game of Thrones, is right. But I want to make it clear that it's early Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
meaning it's the great writing of early seasons of Game of Thrones. And because the writing in this game, I feel, is spectacular.
Yeah.
The character, the character betrayals. Like in the first hour, you realize, or at least after you beat the tutorial or the tutorial area, you realize that, and this is early in the game, so I don't mind spoiling this.
Yeah.
Your mom, your own mother, betrays your kingdom.
Yep.
To an enemy.
Yep.
Because she wants to sleep with that guy.
She's a Cersei. She's Cersei.
Yes. She's Cersei.
Yeah.
She betrays her literal own flesh and blood, and it is nuts.
The political intrigue is so good.
Mm-hmm. You have two icons. You have Benedicta from the Kingdom of Elude sleeping with Hugo Kuka, who's the icon of the Dalmekian Republic, and these are like tentative allies, but at the same time, it's like, oh, there's like love, betrayal. There's just so much like hype, magical moments, and the story is top notch. It truly is a fantastic story. And when characters, I won't say who, but there are characters along the way who die, and it hurts, and it's sad because you've gotten really accustomed to it. And there's characters who you feel like they're gonna die, but they don't, and you're so glad that they don't, because it's like,
or
I love this character.
There are characters who you think are dead, and then they are, and you're like, whoa, I love it.
It's like, oh my god! And then because each arc in the story is like, I feel like Final Fantasy 16 is like a 3-season anime, because there's like the opening arc, the middle arc, and then the ending arc is just like so many twists and turns, and it just goes from one beat to the next, and it's not like, and then this happens. It's like, this happens, so this happens. It's fantastic storytelling. While there are elements of the gameplay that I wish were changed, like more exploratory, more finding dungeons, and traditional Final Fantasy stuff, the end product of 16 is fantastic.
Yeah, it
is. So to me, I was not bored. I was having so much fun, and also I love that they brought back the monster hunts.
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
I love those monster hunts, and I was not prepared for fighting a certain dragon. I was level 40. That dragon was level 50, and I was like, oh no, it's super boss time. It
brought me back to when we used to play Monster Hunter, and I was like, this feels good, love it.
Yeah, but I beat it. I beat that monster. It was so much fun.
DLC came out for that game, didn't it?
It did, yes. There's two DLC planned for it because there's a throwaway line where one of the characters is talking about another famous Final Fantasy summon that's omitted from the main game. The summon being Leviathan.
Yeah.
And there is a DLC because there's the first DLC, which is Echoes of the Fallen, that came out, and the second one is Lost to Time, I think it's
Yeah.
called, or it's something. It does involve that, like the screenshots that I released for it. It's like, yeah, you get the Leviathan icon or you get the Leviathan summit, and there's stuff that involves Leviathan. I haven't bought the DLC because I just finished the main game, and I gotta save money for other stuff.
Same. Yeah.
But I would, I think when both DLC come out, I will probably purchase it and play it because normally when DLC comes out for a game like this, I don't really go back to it.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts being the example, I want to play the Remind DLC, but at the same time, it's like I got other games in my backlog that I want to play, and the cutscenes are on YouTube. I could just watch them there.
And that thing should be on sale way more often. Also, I just wanted to rewind back to this because this is one of the most jaw-dropping sequences early in the game, where Odin is fighting. Is this Bahamut? Who is this? I forget.
That's Bahamut.
Yeah. And these giant pillars of light and all the soldiers, I'm like, this is incredible shit. So I want to get back to it because again, the highs are the highest of last year in video games in my opinion. But for me, the combat kind of got a little too repetitive at points, and some of the side quests didn't fully connect with me. So I want to get back to it because it's just a dope ass game. Dope.
Yeah. Ryan, there's a main fight involving Titan. That is when I was playing it, I was thinking of you the entire time because that was truly just jaw-dropping. Holy shit, they put this in a video game.
So I just want to, I've seen some clips from it, but I didn't want to get too spoiled. But yeah, that looks super incredible. I don't want to get you to answer this too much because I'll eventually get to it. But we start to get an idea of who the actual villain is of the game, and I didn't totally love it. Does it? It's he's the ultimate villain, one would say. Do you think, does it get any better, or is it kind of stay around the same, more development? Because I didn't totally connect with where that was going. And do you think it pays off in the end?
When that villain first shows up, it's kind of like, huh?
Yes.
I mean, thankfully there are things in the game that you can access, like the shelves and the other things that you can read up about it, see exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
I would say that it does get better. I would say it does get better. As in, there are definitely moments where it's this does feel like this is going back to the roots of Final Fantasy, where you're fighting this supreme being who thinks they know what they're, who thinks they know what they're doing. And,
good.
I would definitely say the more you play and the more, because at first I was a little confused by the main villain's plan, but then the more I read about it, I was like, okay, I think I see what I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay,
cool. That's all I want to know, because I was initially I was really enjoying the core story, and then hey, now we're introducing this element 20 hours in. I'm like, why? So I'm glad to hear that at least there's some goodness to it. All right, Ben, we're gonna move on. We're gonna go back and forth basically between games because it's just us two, and this is a game that's old, but as of today, January 2023, it had its season 11 update. And it's Sea of Thieves. And this is a game that I have gotten so into, my God, Ben. This has kind of replaced Fortnite for me in a little bit of ways. For those of you who have never played it, Sea of Thieves is a live service pirate game, a multiplayer only pirate game where when you log into the game, you are basically opting into PvP at all times. The point of the game is you're a pirate, you level up to get better customization options, to get cooler skins, get cooler stuff for your ships, better looking weaponry, all that stuff. It's a very cosmetic heavy game, kind of like a Fortnite. But then at any point you can get attacked by another player. So it is a very risk and reward type of game. And I've gotten really, really heavy into it in the last 6 months. And today, January 2023, they released a huge overhaul to how you play the game, which makes me so excited because the thing about Sea of Thieves is, you log into the game, you pick up a quest, you sail, and it's a sailing game, so there's a lot of sailing, obviously, but it'll take you 5 minutes to get to your quest, you'll pick up your loot, it'll take you 5 minutes to get back to the location to turn it in, and you can get attacked at any one of those points. But half the time you're playing the game, you have no loot to get stolen, so you'll be getting attacked, and the people attacking you will not get rewarded for it, and it's just an inconvenience to you, right? And sometimes people just want to fight, and that's fine, but half the time I'm playing the game, I'm like, y'all are attacking me, and there's gonna be no no reward for it, and it's annoying. So this season, and it's been a bit controversial, they've added a kind of fast travel system where instead of you logging into the game and you have to sail to the point to start the quest, they're just allowing you to start the quest, and it will take you directly to the start of the quest. And the point of doing that is to cut the amount of time that people don't have loot on their ships. So like basically now, if you see someone on the water, most likely they will have loot on their ship. So like it is a much faster, also a much scarier experience, because now you're kind of cutting the middleman out of getting loot, but also now you most likely will be getting attacked twice as much, and that's really scary, and I really like it. I love this game. It has so many different ways you can be a pirate. You can focus on the gold hoarders, and it's all about buried treasure and finding vaults to do puzzles. The Merchant Alliance, which is about doing cargo voyages or finding underwater temples to find stuff. You have the Reapers, which is all about PvP, and like those guys are the sweatiest players on the server, because if you see a Reaper flag, you're like, oh no, I'm about to get murdered. There's an entire fishing guild where like you catch fish and you fight megalodons and krakens. There's so much cool variety to what kind of pirate you want to be, and then this season added so much more stuff. It makes it so easy to jump into the game. It also added a new cosmetic feature of rings, and like again, I love cosmetics in games, so now the higher level you get, you can start adding cool rings to your character, so you can really make the pirate you want to make. And I'm just super excited to start playing it. Actually, literally after I'm done recording this, I'm going to jump into the new season, because it's like people are really talking about it. They're really jonesing. I met some new people and I've joined a guild. And again, playing this game solo is really tough, because when you're one pirate on a ship versus 4 people on a ship, you are going to lose no matter what. You can't win. They will board you. You'll get murdered. All your stuff will get taken. So like, a lot of people are back in the game, and I don't need to talk about it very long, but like, I'm just super excited. This game is good. This is the 6th year it's going to be out. It came out in we're getting so old, Ben. It came out in 2018. But I've only just recently come to the game, so I still have 100 hours of stuff. You can see diving now. So you will be diving to your quest instead of having to sail to it, which is really, really cool. It gets you right into the game immediately, and I'm really excited about that. So I just want to talk about that. I've been playing Sea of Thieves so much. It is an Xbox-only game. There's rumors that it's coming to PS5, and if it does, holy shit, man. I will get you guys to play. Oh my god, yes.
No, if PS5 gets Sea of Thieves, because I'm pretty sure Sea of Thieves is made by Rare, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and of course we all know Rare is a Microsoft-owned studio.
True.
But if by chance Microsoft decides to play nice and PlayStation allows it and allows crossplay, because I remember for a while they were kind of being jerks about it. Sony was being jerks about it.
Yeah.
The crossplay thing, especially with Fortnite and some other games, then this, I'll dive right in. I will be like, you know what? I want to be a pirate. I want to be sailing the open sea with my friends. Yo ho, yo ho.
It's oh my god, Ben, you love shanties? Yeah. Oh my god, there are multiple musical instruments, and you become a band together. It's so beautiful. You'll get randomly attacked by the Kraken, and giant megalodons will come, and there's like ghost ships. There's there's the Pirates of the Caribbean. They've added a bunch of single player modes. So real quick, I didn't think I was going to talk about it long, but I have to talk about this for a little bit. Okay, so you are in the Sea of Thieves, which is like its own pirate universe. The Pirates of the Caribbean story content, it's about Davy Jones, who is, the Davy Jones locker. He comes to the Sea of Thieves to try to take over the underworld version of Davy Jones locker, which is called the Sea of the Damned. So he's like basically coming to our underworld to try to take it over. And you fight Davy Jones on his ships. You fight like fish people like from his crew. It's so fun. It's so great. Obviously, like none of the voice actors come back except Gibbs, who is like the second, like the older guy with the patchy.
Oh, I know. I remember
that voice actor's in the game, and you're hanging out with him. You're hanging out with some of the characters from Pirates of the Caribbean 4, which is an odd choice, but it's like one of the newer, quote unquote newer ones. But they've added the Monkey Island stuff from the Legends of Monkey Island. Those point and click adventures. You could hang out with all of those crew members and do fun pirate adventures with them. It's so great. It is like the ultimate incredible pirate experience. I'm just so excited that this game is doing as well as it is, because I am fully on board now. I have been playing less Fortnite because I've been playing Sea of Thieves, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Nice.
Ben, we're going to move on from one sea to another.
To another sea. Sea of Stars.
Tell me about Sea of Stars.
Good. If you love 16-bit style turn-based RPGs, this is the game for you. My goodness gracious.
This game's beautiful.
As it is, the sprite work in this game is absolutely gorgeous. The artwork is fantastic. The story it is a fantasy story, but it's just different fantasy, and I can't really describe it, but it's just look, the Chrono Trigger influence is there.
Yep.
100%. The Chrono Trigger influence is there, but it's not afraid to do different stuff. It's not afraid to just to be a different. It's not the simple. It's not like the traditional Final Fantasy, such as like in Final. Or it's not Final Fantasy. It's not the traditional fantasy story like in Final Fantasy 16. It's obviously a fantasy world, but it's different, and it's just the vibe and the artwork is what sells me to this game and wants me to play this game more and more. But also the characters in it are amazing. Like my favorite character is Garl, the warrior cook. Like he has no special powers, no special abilities. He's just good at cooking, and he uses a pot lid as a shield and something to bash enemies' faces in.
Love it. I love it.
And the magic system is different. It's not a traditional. I mean, you have HP and MP, but every time you attack an enemy, you gain MP, and it's just so. This game is fantastic, and it's absolutely stunning. The soundtrack is mwah. Playing the game, I don't feel annoyed, because sometimes, especially with older 8-bit games, you can only handle chiptunes for so long.
Yeah.
The music in this game is top notch, and finally they released the soundtrack, the whole soundtrack for like streaming services like Apple Music, Spotify, and everything. But this was such an amazing hit with the RPG fans that I was like, you know what, I gotta give it a shot, because so many times a lot of people are talking about how they miss the traditional turn-based style RPG.
Mm-hmm.
But what I also love about this game, it's not as simple like you click attack, you attack. It's like, but if you time a button press, you do extra damage.
I love that.
Or you have like Valere, the lunar monk, she has a move called the Moonerang, which is a giant boomerang style moon, but she uses her staff to deflect it, so you get a good more damage. Of course the more it goes, the faster it gets. So next thing you know, you're like constantly tapping X in tandem to try and like hit all these enemies, and it's just so satisfying when you get a long chain going and you see those damage numbers jump.
Oh yeah, reminds me of I'm sure other games have done this, but it reminds me of Paper Mario. That has the same type of combat system.
Yeah. Oh, that's another RPG I need to play, because 1,000 Year Door is coming.
Whoop whoop whoop.
I could play Paper Mario on the NSO. I forgot about 1,000 Year Door. But yeah,
so
Sea of Stars. I'm about 25-ish hours into Sea of Stars. I absolutely adore it.
Love it.
It was in my top 15 for a reason. This is truly an indie gem that I'm so glad that so many people, when the game came out at the end of August, were saying like, this game is truly fantastic. And if you have if Xbox Game Pass or the PlayStation subscription, if you have a certain level, I think it's the mid tier where you get access to this game at no extra charge. But also they just announced that they're releasing it physically, both on all platforms: Switch, Xbox, PlayStation 5, PS4 even. You can play this game. If you didn't buy it digitally, or if you did buy it digitally for one console, you can get it for a different one. And I feel like this game was made for the Nintendo Switch, but playing on the PS5 is just so smooth.
Love it.
It's just so gorgeous, and I've heard nothing but amazing things. It runs great across all consoles as far as I've heard, because it's a 16-bit style game.
Yeah.
And just look how gorgeous the sprite work is.
It's stunning.
Like when people say retro style games are dead, look at indie games like this. Look at indie games like Celeste, The Messenger, Dave the Diver, that came out earlier this year. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen gameplay of it, and it looks like 16-bit and 8-bit style games are making a comeback in the indie scene.
These are the same people who are like play Spider-Man 2 that say retro games are dead, because retro games have never been more popular than they are now.
No, or at least retro style games.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Because here's a game that has there's no voice acting. There are some animated cutscenes that are really short here and there. I really hope that Sea of Stars goes the way of Cuphead. And when I say that, I mean that Sea of Stars becomes so popular, so many people play and enjoy it, that the studio, that people realize it and like, look, we can do something. Because Cuphead not only got a fantastic animated show on Netflix, I want to see this as an anime so bad, because this looks like it could make a amazing, amazing anime. And this
So
game, the story that sorry,
no,
real quick.
go ahead.
I'm in a part of the story which just I'm not gonna spoil it because it just shocked me to my core. And I am just the more I play this game, the more I'm finding out because it's one of those it's a fantastic story where you think it's one thing and then the more you play, more stuff gets added on, but it's not complicated, it's not convoluted. It goes, oh shit.
That seahorse
Like
is really cool. That was a cool seahorse
the
boss.
seahorse is right. Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, the game is fantastic. If you, by all means, for the love of God, play this game. It's so good.
So it sold, and this isn't like the greatest amount of sales, but for an indie game, it's not bad. It sold 250,000 copies in its first week, but because of Xbox and PlayStation subscriptions, it's been played by 4 million people. So that's a lot of people, bro. That's a lot of people.
That is a lot. That is a lot of people, and there's so many other games I want to talk about, but looking up on time, we gotta hurt. No, we gotta hurry.
Don't worry, we'll run through it. We played some Mario Wonder.
Yeah. We most certainly have. Mario Wonder, fantastic game. Absolutely adore this game. This was a shot in the arm that the Mario series, the side-scrolling Mario series, needed.
True.
In my opinion.
It's so unique. It's so unique. Every single level is vibrant. Some of them are really short too, but they're all unique and they all do something different. The badge system's incredible.
Oh yeah, the badges is great. The how you get the wonder seeds, the wonder flower sections of the level are, I think each one is different.
Yep.
And that's why I think was where the game shines. Is that there's not, I haven't encountered a gameplay loop, or it's like, oh, this is kind of, I mean, you might get something that's similar, but there's still things that are different. There are characters you can play as, like a Nabbit or Yoshi, for beginning players who've never played a side-scrolling Mario game before, where it's like, oh, you don't have to worry about falling to your doom or getting hurt. You can enjoy the level, enjoy the aesthetics, enjoy the wonderful graphics of Mario Wonder.
Yep.
Like, the art design in this game is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I love the talking flowers. To me, are hilarious. And I absolutely adore this game.
Yeah.
If you are a fan of Mario games, yes, this has to be in your library.
Absolutely. I will say, playing it, the only way I've played it is with 4 people multiplayer. It is beyond chaotic. And the system of having someone like the lead player have a crown and the camera follows them is a disaster, but in really fun, chaotic ways. I wish that was a little different, but this is a fun game to play with homies.
I only play this game with my fiance.
Yeah,
I don't play it with anyone else. It's not that I don't want to play it by myself. I have way more fun playing with them. And also because my fiance and I, we played through Super Mario 3D Land together.
Woohoo!
And I love how Mario games are becoming more and more multiplayer friendly.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy, like, yes, I do agree that sometimes the camera and how it constantly switches between characters as the leader is annoying, because there are times where I'm like, oh, we need to do this, but she can't get the move right, or she doesn't get the certain jump correctly. Once again, there is a learning curve to the game, like, but still, the game itself is fantastic.
Yeah.
It truly is. I hate to say it, pun intended, it is a wonder to play.
And being a giant elephant Mario is really hilarious. Ben, you talked about a new retro game. Tell me about an old retro game. It's called Chrono Trigger.
God, one of the best, a game that has heralded as one of the best video games ever made.
It's
one
true.
of the best RPGs ever created.
It's true.
And I bought this game. I got this game on a really good eBay buy. I paid $75 for it. CIB. Apparently, I got one of the earlier prints of the game because it comes.
CIB is sealed. No, it's not. What does it mean?
Well, no, it's complete in box.
I was about sealed. Doesn't start with a C.
No, dude, if it was sealed, I would have paid like upwards of like close to $1,000.
Yeah.
But Chrono Trigger, I finally started playing Chrono Trigger because of Sea of Stars, and I want to see. And now I'm not super far in the game. I did get the robot in my party, and I think I just got Frog.
I was about to say, have you met Frog yet? The dopest doper?
I love Frog. All the love to Frog. Praise be the Frog Knight. The game is fantastic. Just the way the ATB system is and how you fight enemies. It's just, the game is absolutely gorgeous. And the more I play it, the more I see it's like, now I understand. I understand the love for this game.
Yeah.
I understand why people go batshit crazy for this game. I understand why Chrono Trigger is the top game on everyone's list of games that need to be remastered for the Switch or brought to Switch. Just give us this game. And playing in the DS version, while the SNES version is great, the DS version is, I love it. I am so glad I paid the money for the DS version, because a lot of people who are diehard Chrono Trigger fans say the DS version is the way to play it, because, there's more quality of life improvements.
The map.
You have a map. the map on the bottom screen, so you know where to go, or you're not constantly lost.
I would have loved that.
It is so much fun, and truly, it is one of those games where your choices, the things that you do, have consequences. There's a part where Chrono is on trial for something, and it's like you have these NPCs come up, and it's like, oh shit, I was supposed to do X, Y, and Z and talk to this person in a certain way. It's like, but I didn't know because I'm playing the game blind. The only time I pull up a walkthrough is like to make sure I'm going in the right direction, because it's an older RPG. Some of those older RPGs kind of scare me, where it's like they give you a very vague clue on go that way, and you realize, oh shit, was I supposed to go that way, or is there a side quest over there? I don't know.
And if you've ever seen Chrono Trigger and you're like, wow, a lot of those characters look like they're from Dragon Ball Z, it's like, yeah, because Akira Toriyama designed the characters. Incredible look. Incredible look.
He designed the characters. Now the great thing about the DS port is that it includes the cutscenes from the PlayStation port of the game, but none of the horrible load times and lag.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, so you get the amazing cutscenes. The soundtrack is mwah! I am seriously, every time when people I have made it my goal to beat this game. Not 100% completed, but I at least want to make the credits roll at least once. And I'm going to try and probably look up to see like, okay, what other endings can I possibly get? Because this is one of those games where there's the time travel mechanic is not horrible.
No.
Now, when people say time travel in a fantasy RPG, you kind of go, I don't know.
But here's the thing,
it's so good.
I don't know if I'd even call this a fully like a fantasy RPG, because there's robots and you go to the future. So like
it's like go to the future.
It's just like a time spanning all encompassing RPG.
You know who I also just recently got in my party? I got the prehistoric barbarian woman.
Yeah, she's great.
I forgot her name, but she's just so cool. All the characters are so fun.
Yep.
And even though there are fantasy elements, there's magic. It's like, yeah, you go to the far future, you go to the distant past, you go to prehistoric times.
Yep.
This game is truly an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And it's such a pleasure to play, and just now that I can say I understand.
Yeah.
And I'm because I've had this game in my collection for a while, but life happens, other games come out, other things like pop up, and it's like, oh, I gotta play these games first. But now I'm finally sitting down or once I beat Sea of Stars, I'm going to devote my time to Chrono Trigger, because I started playing Chrono Trigger when I was sick with COVID a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I gotta go back.
Yeah, and
this game was just too damn good.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, but there have been long rumors that a remaster / remake is coming out sometime in the next year or two, for as long as this rumor's persisted. So, like, we might even be getting, like, a Sea of Stars looking Chrono Trigger soon, which would be incredible.
It would. And if I heard good things about the Chrono Cross remaster for the Switch and modern consoles, but it pales in comparison to Chrono Trigger.
It's also not quite as good as a game. Like, I'm not gonna say it's a bad game, but like it's really good. But like, it's hard to beat a masterpiece.
No, you hear Chrono Trigger, you're like, you hear Chrono, you say Trigger, where's Chrono Trigger?
Yeah,
that's the game. Chrono Trigger is like the best SNES RPG, and when it was omitted from the SNES Classic, so many people were upset.
Of course.
Not that there aren't bad RPGs on that classic. I mean, Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy 6, Super Mario RPG, Legend of 7 Stars. Great RPGs are on that system already.
Yeah.
But just, I don't know what it is, because I don't know, it's just because Square has to pay money to Akira Toriyama because they're his designs. I don't know what the contract deal is, but the fact that we do have ways to play Chrono Trigger, because you can get the game on Steam, thankfully. The DS port, yes, the DS port is expensive, but is it worth it?
Absolutely. All right, Ben, we're going to move on to a game that I recently started playing and has taken the world by storm. Again, we're running short on time, so I'll just go quick with this one. But there's a game called Pal World, Ben. And this game was announced 3 to 4 years ago. And when it was announced, it was like, oh, it's Pokemon with guns. And technically, that is true. It is technically Pokemon with guns. But it is way, way, way more than that. Because what people didn't know is this is a survival game in the vein of Minecraft, Valheim, Rust, even Lego Fortnite, which is a new survival game. You start out and you are punching trees and punching rocks to build a crafting table, to build an axe, all that. But also, it is Pokemon, where you are there's 111 unique Pokemon. There's no evolutions or anything. It's just they are what they are. But
Okay.
you catch them, and then they help you at your camp to get better resources. So you'll build a logging camp, and you'll have your little Pokemon mine up some rocks for you, and then eventually you get strong enough where you can give them AK-47s. And also it's the thing about Pokemon that's so interesting is like there's like a really dark side to Pokemon no one talks about, and it's like it is professional dogfighting. You are capturing Pokemon against their will. They are living in balls against their will, right? You throw them to fight other monsters, and like we don't really talk about that. Pal World doesn't give a shit. It's like we know what we are, we know what we're doing. So not only can you capture these pals in this world, but you can also kill the pals yourself. Like you get guns yourself, you get weapons to take them out. When you defeat them, they drop loot like any other survival game. But also like the game's in early access, so there's only 3 quote-unquote gyms, but it is a massive open world. It's quite been honestly like it's like the best Pokemon game to come out in a long time, and it's in early access because, and we've had this conversation before, but like no matter how good the Pokemon games are now, there's no innovation. And especially like Scarlet and Violet runs horribly on the Switch. Pal World is like looks incredible. It is like a next gen looking game. It's also Pokemon, it's also survival. It's also Breath of the Wild because like you're traversing with like a glider and stuff. It is an amalgamation of so many different games, and Pokemon fans hate this game so much. Because like,
of course they do.
And like, yes, they are very clearly like ripping off Pokemon, but it's not just ripping off Pokemon. It's also ripping off a bunch of other games. But that's not a bad thing. Homaging games and like being inspired by other games is not a bad thing. It's also an Xbox exclusive, so like one day I hope you can play it and like play it as like a group, because this is like the multiplayer Pokemon experience I wish we could have now. It's sensational. It's bananas. And that's. I don't think I have a video for it, but we also play a little bit of Lego Fortnite. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it long. I think it's still really early. There's not a lot you can do, but it's a lot of fun. It's not as fun as playing regular Fortnite to me, but Lego Fortnite is also a good time. It's no Pal World if you ask me.
I'm definitely. I mean, I will play it with my friends. I definitely won't play Lego Fortnite by myself because games like Fortnite they don't really appeal to me. Even the games like Animal Crossing, where I did enjoy Animal Crossing, and like I famously said, Animal Crossing was my game of the year in 2020 because of not only what it did during the pandemic, but because it was like the fun, cozy game we needed to get through help us get through the pandemic.
Absolutely.
But when games are like have giant, it's like, hey, you're in a sandbox, do whatever you want, build whatever you want. Even my own creativity sometimes gets stifled, and I remember reading somewhere that even when you have like limitation breeds innovation.
True.
And even though as much as I love being able to create my own world as a writer or someone who enjoys writing and creating things, I find that there are times where I'm like, if I'm given to my own devices, I can do fun stuff, but then it's like I don't know what else to do or what else can I make out of this. But when I'm given a prompt or when I'm given some limitations, all of a sudden I create something that's like, oh shit, I was given limitations, but I made something amazing. And then when you have stuff like Lego Fortnite or Minecraft or those type of games where it's like do whatever the heck you want, you're the world is your oyster, it doesn't, to me, it just like I don't know what to do.
There's not enough structure for you.
Yeah, like kind of like in Skyrim, where it's like, yes, there is structure, but it's at the same time, it's like you could be whatever you want. It's like, do I put all my points in this? Do I put all my points in X, Y? What do I do?
Yeah,
and it's just like, just go out. Whereas Zelda, it's like, okay, it is that, but it's also scaled down. You don't have to worry about stats. You don't have to worry about classes. It's just weapons out there. Go get.
I wonder, Ben, now that Skyrim is almost like it's 13 years old, now that you've played Dungeons and Dragons, I would really like for you, not and it, obviously like I don't need you to go back to Skyrim, but like that is basically like Dungeons and Dragons light. So I'd be really interesting to you to go back and like, now I'm kind of invested in this type of game, but like it's old game. You don't need it.
I think I just needed to be told, like, look, you can think of Dungeons and Dragons, you can play a certain type of character, kind of like a Dark Souls or even Elden Ring.
Absolutely.
Like, pick your archetype at the beginning and you're stuck with that, or you're not really stuck with that, but then you can choose to put points in what kind of build you want. Because you guys know me, I like swinging a giant sword and doing shit like that.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the games that we talked about, Ben. Let's transition back to the big screen. And of course, we expected to go for 2 hours, but we're having such a good conversation. We're going 2:15. I'm just going to run down a couple games coming out in the next 3 months that I'm excited about. Do you have one right off the top of your head?
I have two.
Go for it.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Princess Peach Showtime.
Hell yeah, I'm excited for. No offense to Princess Peach, but like I'm not gonna play that game. I'm sure it's gonna be great, but like Rebirth looks like a damn good game. Oh my god, I'm sweating.
That's another reason. That's another reason why I want to play it through Sea of Stars, is so I can and Chrono Trigger. So when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, I can get that game on day one.
There's only so many giant RPGs in the world.
There's so many giant art. Like, this is the year for me, the RPG, because I want to play Final Fantasy VII. I want to play Super Mario RPG. Mario RPG, the remake came out. I want to get that game for my Nintendo Switch.
Thousand Year Door.
1,000 Year Door remake. I have NSO. I have the expansion pass. Yes, I am that shill, but I have access to Paper Mario. I can play Paper Mario. God damn it!
It's a great game.
I'm ready. I want to go.
Yo, 1,000 Year Door is my favorite Mario game. I get it. I'm gonna name off
1,000 Year Door's coming out about freaking time.
Hell yeah. I'm not super excited for this, but I'm intrigued because I'm a comic book shill. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. I just want to know if that game's gonna be good. It's been in development almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. That's bananas, and like. The game looks fine or whatever. It's a live service game, but whatever. But the game I'm most excited about, Ben, it's called Helldivers 2. I know we've watched some trailers. That is Starship Troopers the game. The first Helldivers is a top-down experience, and this game is a full 3D. The first game is also it's a multiplayer like survival shooter, not Minecraft survival, but like you are facing waves of incredibly hard enemies, and you will die, and you're supposed to survive with your homies. And every time you survive, you get better experience, better loot for the next wave. And it looks great. It looks really funny. It's about like, you know, like serving your purpose, like join the Empire, blah blah blah. You will die for your country, and like that kind of Starship Troopers, like it's satire of like, you know, imperialism. That's right up my alley. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks really hard. I'm really excited for it. It comes out next month, and luckily I got money in my PSN wallet that I'm saving for. So coming out in a month. I'm excited for it.
There we go. Yeah, for me, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. What can you say? And I'm when it was announced, Princess Peach Showtime. It just looks like a fantastic game. And Princess Peach hasn't started her own game since Super Princess Peach on the Nintendo DS.
Hot dog.
So I'm really looking forward. So I'm looking forward to playing a Mario-esque game without Mario, and where Peach is the main protagonist. And I'm looking forward to it. It looks like a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I think that's it.
That would definitely end it. Apologies for trying to rush through, but I gotta go to work, and I haven't eaten anything yet.
No,
so
I get you.
I gotta go. I gotta try and make sure I get to work on time. But anyways, Ryan, where can people find you on the internet, my friend?
You can find me drinking water.
Some water.
You can find me all over the internet at DJ Tony Snark, and recently I've started streaming on Twitch at DJ Tony Snark 616. But if you don't like Twitch, just go to my YouTube, because I have the video on demand VODs same day. So on YouTube, DJ Tony Snark, all over the internet. What about you, Benjamino?
Well, you can find me on the internet at BenMagnet27, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, GoNintendo.com, and play Mary Frankenstein in the Dungeons and Dragons style podcast D and Dark.
Listen to it.
And also in the future, little sizzle for all y'all. Be on the lookout for someone who's gonna try to be the very best, like no one ever was.
Oh, will I be there?
Oh, I think you will be there, my friend. You most certainly will be there. You'll be a certain guy that rhymes with rock, if you will.
Misty.
Ah!
I can't wait to lock in that game.
I know, me too. All right, but anyways, until next time. I don't know when this is coming up, but
it's coming out very soon. We record on the 23rd.
It's coming out very soon.
It'll be
yep. Keep an eye out for other pause minutes. I have a few pause minutes in the pipeline ready to be recorded. I have one that's already recorded. I can't wait. That has Your Name Tree, the famous sports bot, or the sports YouTuber. He was kind of to come on. We talked about sports video games. That was a great conversation. So when that episode comes out, check it out. But until next time, everyone, unpause.